got something for me?
Yeah, there was some guy here from Miles Juergens looking for you. They need sparring partners for Apollo Creed.
Put me on.
Here's the car.
When was they here?
About an hour ago.
They'll probably look for sparring partners for Creed, you know?
I said that before, you dumb dago!
You know, I've been coming in for 6 years, and 6 years you've been sticking it to me. I want to know how come.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I want to know how come.
You want to know?
I want to know how!
Okay, I'm going to tell you. Because you had the talent to become a good fighter. And instead of that, you became a leg breaker. Some cheap, second-rate loan shark.
It's a living?
It's a waste of life.
Round one, fight!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Movie Hero Network. This is episode number 272 of Tournament Fights. I am your guest host this evening, Austin Pez Howell, and we are rolling right along with Dan Skip Allen's Top 128. Tonight is part 2. We will see the other half, the other 64 of his 128 tonight, and we will keep things brief and breezy tonight because the man of the hour is here, Mr. Dan Skip Allen. He is under the weather, to say the least, but he is power throwing tonight and joining us. Dan, hopefully you will last. We will keep it very fast tonight, I promise.
I really appreciate you guys just doing this. I just don't, I can't say enough. If you haven't watched the first part, everybody watch the first part, at least the first 10 minutes of the first part. That has got a thing that Jordan did. I cannot thank him enough for that. That was the most amazing thing.
Yeah, he did all the deep fakes and stuff, right? So yeah, that's one in the comic book covers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, he's been playing around with AI lately, and he's been having fun with it. So much like the thumbnail we got tonight with some cool stuff on there. So yeah, but thanks for powering through tonight. I know you're a little sick. We're gonna keep it very brief for you, and we'll keep it breezy, I promise. And because if you need a quick show, I am your man, and we'll get it going tonight. All right. So let's bring in the rest of our panel for this evening. We got a staple of the channel. We got Mr. Jonathan Caro. How's it going, Jonathan?
Hello. No, it's great to be back in one of Dan's episodes. A lot of great movies here, and I watched one for this, and I'll talk about it at length, and I'll keep it as breezy as possible for sure because of Dan's health. Health is number one priority for anybody. So let's get it going.
Yeah. Well, have as much fun as we can, as quick as we can. We got Erick Ibarra joining us here tonight. How's it going, sir?
It's doing all right, all things considered. It's very chilly out there. Hope everybody's fine. Hope everybody gets healthy soon. And let's get going.
Yeah, let's get it going. We got one more panelist tonight. We got Jeremy Paul Adams joining us here tonight. How's it going, Jeremy?
Oh, going pretty good. I'm sharing a little bit of Dan's sickness. Been had a cold for a few days, but I'm doing okay, and I'm really excited to be here. You know, Dan and I have discussed movies a lot privately, and we share a lot of tastes in some of these classics. So I'm really excited, and great panel here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We will have a good time. And like I said, this is part 2 of Dan's 128. So the rest of the 64 will be in here tonight. And much like on Monday, the Sweet 16 tonight will then move on to Friday, and we'll have a little half bracket of sort of the best of the best. And we will see what makes it there. So that's how it works. You guys have all been on Tournament Fights. You know, just keep it brief and breezy tonight, especially because of Dan and Jeremy being under the weather. Let's try to make it as quick as we can so they can get back and get their rest. I will keep my thoughts brief as well. Yeah, if you need a speed tournament, I'm your man, and I'm hosting, and I can make that happen. So let's do it. I did pull some alternate posters tonight since I put the extra. I did the bracket on Monday night, but since Jordan was hosting, didn't want to confuse him with posters he didn't know. But I got the alternate posters here for you tonight, Dan, to hopefully at least keep him amused from round to round. So let's get it going here. I won't waste any more time. Let's bring up that bracket and scroll over to our first matchup here. We will have Babel against Kill Bill Volume 1. win. So we will start down at the bottom with Jeremy. We'll rotate the vote each time. Jeremy, Kill Bill or Babel?
I pretty easily Kill Bill for me. I like Babel. I like Inarritu a lot, but there are other films of his that I much prefer, like Amores Perros. So, and Kill Bill, I've probably seen that movie like 50 times, especially Volume 1. So that would definitely be the pick for me. I'm a huge Tarantino guy. I share that with Dan, so that would be my choice.
All right, Mr. Eric.
Yeah, you will think because I'm Mexican, I have seen every Iñárritu film, but I haven't seen Babel. I love Amores Perros. Amores Perros is great. Shout out, but not shout out, R.I.P. The homeless guy in Amores Perros just passed away. Shout out is probably the wrong word. Rest in peace. I gotta go Kill Bill by default.
Okay, Mr. Caro.
That in context, that sounded really awkward. You got to go Kill Bill right away. Anyway, yeah, we don't see Babel here a lot. Yeah, it's a really good movie. Definitely not for everybody, but it is a very good, unique film about four people interconnecting with each other. Into connecting to one event involving Cate Blanchett and Brad Pitt, and it's a very unique story. But Kill Bill Volume 1 is an awesome movie. One of the great movies from Tarantino in action film. He uses the style very well. And that's my vote. Kill Bill Volume 1, right?
Volume 1, yes.
Yeah, Volume 1.
Yes, Dan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I pick here because 3 votes have already gone through to Kill Bill. But Babel is I don't want to come across as talking about political things here, but I'm a person that's wants the fight against we need gun control in this country, and this movie really shows you what one gun, how many lives one gun can ruin and affect. And this is my second favorite movie of the decade of the 2000s after Pan's Labyrinth. But I absolutely love this movie, and I'm going to vote for Babel, even though I know it's not going through.
No, fair enough. Yeah, Babel's been on my list of stuff I need to see. I apologize. I didn't get a chance to really watch anything for this. I've been plowing through 2024 movies, so it's just one of those things where I'm plowing through the last bit of 24 stuff here, but I will get to it soon. But yeah, Kill Bill gets better and better every time I watch it, and I'm a big Tarantino guy, so I'm gonna go Kill Bill as well. So Kill Bill will move on, and we will go down to Aliens, taking on Young Frankenstein. So yeah, that's a match. Eric will be up first on this one.
Oh, I love Young Frankenstein. I only seen it once and I really enjoyed it. I have it over there in the Steelbook. Aliens have seen a couple more times, so I gotta go with Aliens. But Young Frankenstein, so good.
Yeah, Frankenstein. Mr. Caro.
Yes, Young Frankenstein. It's very funny. Very, very funny. But I've only seen it one time, unfortunately. Yeah, put it on the Ritz, you see. So yeah, Young Frankenstein is funny. One of the classic Mel Brooks films. But even though like Mel Brooks films are up and down for me, but this is a really good one. Aliens is awesome. One of the best sequels of all time in my book. And James Cameron puts it up a notch or even in equal ground with the first movie. I think the first movie is a little better, but Aliens is a great action film. So Aliens gets my vote.
All right, Mr. Allen.
Well, I know what Austin's going to say. So I want to talk about Young Frankenstein. And I want to tell you, I had The Bride of Frankenstein on the last one. And this is just such a great homage. I'm not into homage or I don't know what they're called. That genre is called where they make fun of other movies. But satires.
Spoof.
It's a spoof, satire kind of thing. Yeah.
This is probably, if not the best, one of the best of all time. The Gene Hackman scenes where he plays the blind man. Oh my God. I laugh so hard. If you really want a good laugh, watch Young Frankenstein. If you like the Universal monsters, watch Young Frankenstein. So I'm going to go Young Frankenstein. I already know what Austin's going to say.
No, I got you. Yeah, I mean, I do like Young Frankenstein. Of the 274 Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles is more my jam. The one that I've seen over and over again is one of my personal favorites. But Young Frankenstein is very fun and very silly, and I enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, you know me, Alien's my favorite movie of all time. So I'm going to vote for it until, it comes up to something I'm almost equally as passionate about. So, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's tough. Love both these films. Aliens is possibly my favorite James Cameron movie, one of the great sequels ever made. Making a sequel that's in an entirely different genre than the original was such an amazing thing to do. And Sigourney Weaver's performance, particularly in Aliens, is iconic. But I just really, really love Young Frankenstein. I think that it really the best. It does what the best parodies do. It really loves the films that it's making fun of, sort of, or referencing. They got like the actual the actual props from the original James Whale Frankenstein films. They like found them in the guy that made them's house and put them in the film, and they use like the actual visual style of those films. And I think Gene Wilder's performance is maybe my favorite comedic performance ever in the history of cinema. So just by a hair, I know it's a losing vote, but I would go for Young Frankenstein just by a hair there.
No, fair enough. Put some love for really Young Frankenstein. We'll move through Aliens here. All right, going down to Chinatown, and Good Will Hunting is up next. So Jonathan was up first.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting, great movie, one of my all-time favorites as well. And it's just a wonderful movie about just trying to connect with the person's soul. What's his struggle? What is his problem? And then once you find out, it's painful. Great performances, great movie all around. Chinatown is also great. It's a great 70s crime flick, directed by, we will not say his name. And Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway are terrific together. Also, John Huston is the villain, right? John Huston. That's an underrated villain performance.
Oh, incredible!
And he's fantastic in it. And what he does in this movie, ooh boy, yikes! Although Good Will Hunting is one of my all-time favorites, I do want to champion Chinatown. I think it's a great crime flick that gets lost in the shuffle in terms of 70s movies. So I'll go Chinatown.
Okay. Dan?
Austin, it's not your fault.
It's
not your fault, Austin. Austin, it's not your fault. No. I'm a Boston guy. I'm a Boston guy. Everybody knows I'm a Boston guy. This movie hit me like a ton of bricks. It was so up my alley in 1997. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I saw a double feature of this and Titanic the same day, 1997. Yeah.
That's an emotional double feature right there.
How about that double feature, right, guys?
Yeah, right.
And I know what theater I saw it in and everything. I absolutely love this movie. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, those guys, that Robin Williams. Oh my God, I love this movie. But that being said, I'm a massive film noir fan, and I love Chinatown, and it's just right up my alley as far as being a film noir guy. And if Good Will Hunting was up against something else, who knows, I would probably pick it. But I'm going to pick Chinatown.
Yeah. You got several movies on this bracket, Dan, that luckily the first time I ever saw them when I was digging into some classics was through Cinemark's classic series on the big screen. And I was very fortunate to experience a lot of movies for the first time like that. Chinatown's one of them. First time I ever watched it was actually in a theater. So that was pretty cool. I love me some Nicholson. And you know what? We don't see it on Tournament Fights a lot. Oddly enough, the last time we saw it on Tournament Fights might have been your 64. So you know what? I'll champion Chinatown because we see Good Will Hunting all the time. So let's go Chinatown. Jeremy?
Yeah, this is another really tough call. I adore both movies for very different reasons. Like Chinatown is a real tough, noir, kick in the face kind of movie. Got kind of a gut punch, really kind of the darker side of society and human nature. And Good Will Hunting is, delves into some of the darker parts but has a hopeful message about therapy and that incredible Robin Williams inspiring performance. But yeah, I just think Chinatown, don't mention him, but the direction of that movie is impeccable. The screenplay by Robert Towne is, I think, maybe one of the top 5 screenplays ever written ever. And Jack Nicholson's performance in a career of incredible work, I think that one really stands up there. So yeah, I will go Chinatown by a hair there.
Okay. All right, Eric.
Yeah, she's my sister. She's my daughter.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Besides being funny to reenact, it's a heart-wrenching scene. I've seen Good Will Hunting once. I really like it, but I gotta see it more. Chinatown, I think I only seen it once also, but it sticks a lot with me a lot more with me, so I gotta go Chinatown.
Wow.
It's
All
not that
clean.
surprising.
A sweep.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Sweep.
Wow.
Clean
Yeah,
That's
sweep.
crazy.
Okay, clean sweep for Chinatown.
I
All
thought
right,
I
there
was
you go.
going to be
All right, well, there we go.
battling that one.
And good job on keeping the pace up, guys. Appreciate that. So we're doing good here. Let's keep it rolling. We got the Truman Show and Schindler's List. Another tough matchup here. All right. So Dan, you were up first this time.
Skip me.
Okay. Maybe blow his nose or something. All right, we'll skip it for now. This is a tricky one because it's kind of the one I've seen more times overall versus kind of the more epic one. Because these are both great. I think these are both kind of masterpieces in their own way. I might go the Truman Show just because it's kind of more personal to me. It's in my 128, and I think it's just aged like fine wine. I think it's just aged very, very well. So I may go with that for now. Jeremy.
Yeah, I have a little bit of I think an unpopular opinion on Schindler's List. Every time I hear it mentioned and people talk about it, they're like, it's a great movie, but I could only watch it once. I've probably seen that movie like 10 or 12 times. I don't have that experience with it where it's so horrible that I can't watch it.
I deep dove it twice in 1 month one time because I was listening to like the Cinephiles or something on it, and then I listened to the commentary. I don't think it's like that bad, or you can you can't watch it as a cinephile. Yeah,
it's the darkest chapter in human history probably, but Spielberg brings humanity to it. There's humor in it. Like there's a lot of it is about Liam Neeson and him like maneuvering to try to get stuff done, and it's got kind of like almost like a heist feel to it. And then when it needs to get to those moments, Spielberg does it in a way where it's not just like horribly graphic, but just seeing those kids hiding in the latrine or the girl in the red, he just gives you what you need to really convey the horror. Ray finds shooting people randomly. It's just what he needs to do to convey the absolute horror. And I just think it's an incredible movie, and I could always rewatch it and get something new from it. Love The Truman Show. Peter Weir, one of the most underrated filmmakers. I think almost every movie Peter Weir ever did is great. But yeah, Schindler's List is an all-timer for me.
Okay. Eric.
Yeah, this is kind of tough. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about Schindler's List. Everything that's been said about that movie. I'm going about Schindler's mostly because it's on the thumbnail, I guess. But I do love the Truman Show. It's probably more personal. I do watch it more often for obvious reasons, but also Schindler's is longer, so I like my movie shorter. But that's not an issue with the movie. It's just great. It's still a vote for Schindler's. Why not?
Yeah, did you guys know Schindler was based on a comic book up top right there? Yeah,
oh, look at that.
Right? I know, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right. All right, Jonathan.
Yes. So like I said before about length, it's not about length. It's about pacing. All right. No matter how long it is. So, and Schindler's List, actually it flies by for me. Really the second half, the first half, I think it's the more disturbing part. And then the second half, you'll be fine. But Schindler's List, it's an emotional experience. It's a masterpiece from Spielberg. Definitely won Best Picture for a good reason. Deserved it. The Truman Show is excellent. One of Peter Weir's great movies for sure. I think we'll talk about another one when we get to it that I think is also great. But a little tough for me. In spirit of the awards season, I'm going to go Schindler's List. It's still one of the best Picture winners. Yeah.
Ever. All right, Dan. Well, what's good?
Everybody, I don't know, the people that know me, that they know I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan, and that's why I got some of his movies on my list. I love the precursor of reality television, Truman Show. Such a good movie. But like what you guys have all said, Schindler's List is an absolute. I know Wolfman likes to say this word. We're going to put some big, giant, muscle-bound wrestler on here, and I'm going to say it's a masterpiece. And I see what I tell you. I just I knew it. This movie, Ray Fiennes got robbed. Should have won an Oscar for this. This guy has not won an Oscar yet. Yeah. I hope he wins for Conclave, but I don't think he's going to. I got Schindler's List.
Right. For anybody that's not a wrestling fan, I know Eric will get it, but that's the masterpiece Chris Masters. So we're just a running joke on here. He's a wrestler. So we drop that in word. I'll drop that. So all right, Schindler's List moves on. And we go down to The Music Man and North by Northwest. So sort of a classic matchup here. And it's on me. I think I've seen The Music Man once, maybe in school. That sounds about right. I think we watched it, in middle school or something like that. I'm not a big musical guy. So I don't remember a whole lot about it. But North by Northwest, Dan, another one I got to see in the theater for the first time back in the early 2010s. So the great way to see it on the big screen, the plane sequence and all that, and just a great thriller, misunderstanding kind of a movie. I really, really enjoyed it, and I want to rewatch it soon. So I'll go North by Northwest. Jeremy.
Yeah, North by Northwest is a real favorite for me. Just Hitchcock at his best, a big, colorful, action spectacular, a little different than some of the other films he was doing at the time, like Psycho. And this is actually one that was a favorite for me as a kid. We had it like on VHS, and when I wasn't watching Disney movies, I was probably watching North by Northwest. So it's really close to my heart. Cary Grant, incredible in that. James Mason.
Mom, can I watch North by Northwest again?
Oh, my dad, he had the hookup. He always gave me the Hitchcock movies. He had the hookup there. But yeah, James Mason, great villain. Eva Marie Saint, so gorgeous and incredible in that movie. And I hate to do this to you, Dan, but I've actually never seen The Music Man all the way through. I've seen like bits and pieces here and there, but that is one of my blind spots. Love Robert Preston. I definitely want to get to it one of these days. But yeah, I knew growing up, I knew Robert Preston from Victor Victoria, but I never actually saw The Music Man. So sorry about that.
That's fine.
There you go, North by Northwest by default.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, people shouldn't be surprised I haven't seen The Music Man. I'm the younger here, I guess. I am a big musical fan, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah. People should be more surprised I haven't seen North by Northwest, which even I am surprised I haven't seen it. Because I am a big Hitchcock fan. I haven't seen like some movies like lesser known, like I Confess and The Murder and other more well-known Rope. So I'll vote North by Northwest because I feel worse by having not seen it that much.
It's gonna be a guilt trip vote for Eric. Yes. Jonathan.
Yeah, unfortunately, The Music Man I have not seen, so I can't comment on that. North by Northwest is a great Hitchcock movie. It's suspenseful. The climax, I think, is still one of the best climaxes ever. It's fantastic. Fun, suspenseful, awesome. So I'm gonna go North by Northwest.
All right, and Dan.
Yeah, awesome. It's out on 4K now. You can go get the 4K of North by Northwest whenever you feel like it. It's out. I just got it. I got the Steelbook like a week or two ago. Absolute. Cary Grant is so good, and that drunken driving scene. I don't say everybody should be drinking and driving. No drinking and drive. I'm 11 years, going on 12 years sober myself. I did a lot of drinking and driving. That scene is one of the best scenes I've seen from classic movies back in those days. I mean, how Hitchcock filmed that, I'll never know. That was pretty freaking damn good, if you ask me. But I love North by the prop duster and just all kinds of twists and turns in North by Northwest. Music Man, guys, trust me, when you see it, you'll realize how good it is. If you've seen the movie Bernie, you've seen a version of The Music Man. So let me tell you, Bernie is like a faux remake of The Music Man in some senses. And crossing my fingers, I think we might get Wolverine himself, Hugh Jackman, to do The Music Man. If they do a remake of it, we could actually get Hugh Jackman as The Music Man.
There's a TV version as well with Matthew Broderick.
I heard of that.
I didn't see that. I haven't seen that. But I'm going to go with North by Northwest because it's one of my favorite Hitchcock films.
All right. Sweet.
All right. Sweet for Hitchcock. All right. All right. Moving along down to Inglourious Bastards. And the talented Mr. Ripley.
Wow, that is
down
that
to
is interesting.
Mr. Adams up first on this one.
Look, Inglourious Bastards is one of my favorite Tarantino's. It's an incredible film. Christoph Waltz, that performance is just somebody coming out of nowhere and just being incredible. Just an incredible movie, but I've really come in the last couple of years to reappreciate the talented Mr. Ripley. Anthony Minghella was a filmmaker, known for like English Patient and some other stuff. And this movie kind of got lost in the shuffle at the time. And I think people have been reappraising it. There's been the new Ripley series on Netflix, which I haven't seen yet. I know Dan loves it. Sorry, I'll get to it. But yeah, that movie is there's just something really special about it. Getting all of those actors so young, Matt Damon, Cate Blanchett, Jude Law, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Gwyneth Paltrow. It's just they're so young, they're so good, they're at their best, and it's just so ahead of its time in dealing with LGBT themes and just taking a character who was just kind of more of a one-dimensional villain from the book series and giving him so much. Like, you just really feel bad for the guy while he's doing these horrible things, and you feel like this stuff wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for what society was in that time. And it's one of Matt Damon's most underrated performances. So I can't believe I'm going against Tarantino, but I'm going to go in and talented Mr. Ripley here. I can't believe it.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah, talented Mr. Ripley, really good. Makes you really appreciate it when lesser movies try to copy it. So it's really good. Inglourious Basterds. I don't know how much of a take is this, but I think it's not my personal favorite Tarantino, but I think it's his best one overall.
It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I some people agree, some people disagree. So I don't know if it's much of a take, but whatever. I think I remember it more often. I always try to do the three like this or like this whenever I'm with a company of German people. So I don't know. I gotta go Inglourious Basterds, I guess.
Inglourious Basterds, all right. Jonathan?
¿Cómo estáis? Hey. Oh God, don't you want to fuck every movie you just see just once? Philip Seymour Hoffman as Freddie Miles. That's a great introduction from the talented Mr. Ripley. So very quickly, because my dog needs me. The talented Mr. Ripley, really good movie. Yeah, it's reappreciated over the years. Yeah, I love this movie for sure. But Inglourious Basterds is a favorite of mine. Definitely one of Tarantino's best. So I'm gonna go Inglourious Basterds, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, Jonathan having a Malcolm moment here. That's right. Dan.
Yeah, to the kind of Americana. Oh God, I love that moment in the movie Talented Mr. Ripley. Yeah, I'm like Jeremy, but I saw this in theaters in 1999, and I'll tell you right now, it was my number one movie of the year in 1999. And I have not fallen out of love with this movie, but what he said is true. The Ripley series on Netflix, mwah, mwah, Chef's Kiss. I cannot say enough. Go watch Ripley on Netflix. 6 parts by Steve Zalian. Phenomenal. A whole new way of looking at this story. But this movie is a masterpiece. But the first 15, 20 minutes of Inglourious Basterds is absolute master filmmaking at its best by Quentin Tarantino. I just was blown away by those first 15, 20 minutes of Inglourious Basterds. And that's why I love that movie so much. I like Daniel Bruhl in there as well, but I'm going to go with the talented Mr. Ripley.
Wow.
Okay. And this is interesting because I've never seen The Talented Mr. Ripley, and I've been meaning to get to it for a while. Meaning to get to it for a long time. Just haven't been able to get around to it. 99 was such a stacked year. But again, I'm a big Tarantino guy, and even though this is like middle Tarantino, it's for me personally in my rankings, it's not like a knock against it because it's still great. It's just I just have ones that are more personal, kind of that I go back to. So I got to go Inglourious Basterds here. Leave that alone. All right, and let's go with First Blood. And Jurassic Park. So yeah, right. All right. Can you see Rambo fighting off the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park? That would be a movie, right?
Actually, I can.
That's a movie to watch. Yeah, Rambo versus some raptors. Yeah, that's fine. I'm with it.
The raptors wouldn't let him eat lunch.
That's right. Eric, what you got?
Yeah, I think the Rambo of the first Blood, probably not. Later Rambo, more Jack Rambo, maybe. Yeah, I always get a kick. Recently, somebody posted once again the recreation of the raptor scene in Jurassic Park with realistic raptors, and I always get a kick out of watching those. It's hard to beat Jurassic Park. I don't know what else to say. Sweep, maybe? Question mark. Let's see.
We'll see. Jonathan.
Yes. So, First Blood, I watched it last year for the first time. I think last year or 2 years ago, but it's very good. I liked it a lot. It's a fantastic, grounded piece of filmmaking, and especially good acting from Sylvester Stallone. Jurassic Park, I don't hail it as greatness, but I think it's still a very, very good popcorn flick. Definitely for one of his Spielberg's best filmmaking moments regarding we see the I forgot the big dinosaur's name. I'm sorry about the brontosaurus. Brontosaurus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, we see that. Well, we see that for the first time. Brachiosaurus?
Yeah.
Brachiosaurus.
Yes, he's the Brachiosaur in the movie. There's no brontosauruses in the movie.
Anyway, Brachiosaurus. that moment is just majestic, stunning. I will never forget it with the John Williams score playing in the background. It's fairly close than you think, but I'm still going to go Jurassic Park on it.
All right, then.
Yeah, I know this is a controversial statement, but somebody said on my last episode of my 64 that Die Hard was the greatest action movie of all time. I beg to differ because I think First Blood is the greatest action movie of all time. It set the action genre up. It started the action genre. I know you could say Dirty Harry or one of that, but technically First Blood. And this movie is so phenomenal to me. 1982 is a big year for film for me. And I believe it was 1982. Correct me if I'm wrong. It could have been 1981.
Yeah. 82. Yeah.
82. Okay. I just love this movie. I absolutely adore this movie. And I think all he wanted to do was get a hot bite to eat. He just wanted to go get something to eat. All this stuff happens. You can't, a Vietnam vet can't come in town and get a daggone bite to eat? I mean, it's with Brian Dennehy, one of the greatest villains of all time. Mm-hmm. I'm going with First Blood.
Yeah. You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare, with a man who's the best with guns, with knives, with bare hands. I love Richard Crenna in that movie. He's so great. The way he just breaks down how all you guys are fucked in that movie, and you don't know what you're dealing with. It's great. It's really, really fun. And First Blood is really, really underrated. I kind of feel like over the years it's been lost in the shuffle through the oeuvre of Rambo. And there was kind of the simpler movie. You know what? Even though Jurassic Park's an all time for me, we don't see it a lot on here. I'll go First Blood. Why not? And I'll leave it to Jeremy.
I'm the tiebreaker then.
Yeah, I'll leave it to Jeremy. Why not? Let's see what happens.
Oh no, did Jonathan already go? You didn't.
Yeah, Jonathan.
I'm thinking of changing my vote though, but
as of right now, it's a tie. But
2-2.
You're gonna cheat, John. Well, I will say it's difficult because I get two very strong emotions from these two movies and very, very different emotions. Jurassic Park is I saw that came out when I was 13, prime age for it, and I just get such wonder and excitement from that. Spielberg's filmmaking at its best. First Blood, it's a very emotional film for me. I have two uncles who were Vietnam veterans and were both deeply, deeply scarred by that war. And it's just what Sylvester Stallone conveys in the end of that movie and the speech at the end. And he actually spoke to actual veterans to get some of their stories to incorporate into that scene. It's just one of the most powerful things ever. And it's just kind of annoying to me that, all the sequels kind of drown out First Blood. And you think of the cartoonish Rambo 3 and all of this stuff is kind of what that series became, the Saturday morning cartoon. But that first movie, there's a lot of action. It gets a little silly when he's jumping through the tree and stuff. But that final moment is really what that movie's about, and it's great. But I'm sorry, Dan, Jurassic Park, I'm a big Spielberg fan. Mm-hmm. I think that's some of his greatest filmmaking. I actually think it's popcorn entertainment. It also is kind of profound in a way about science and how it can be misused and the great speeches that Jeff Goldblum has in that movie. So as much as I love both, the child in me has to go for Jurassic Park.
All right, so there you go. Closer, try, but Jurassic
Jeremy Park. Sold it on me on Jurassic Park. Yeah, I have to
that's good. Damn, it's great.
But I have to accept whatever happens.
Got Alien, the OG Alien, and Apocalypse Now. Got a Battle of 79. That's how it came up in the bracket. Battle of 79. So Alien, Apocalypse Now. Jonathan?
Yeah, these are the two of the best of 79.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were both in my 64. The question is, what do I go with? Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna dedicate myself to my list, and I think Alien is higher than Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now is great. Alien is great as well. So, but I gotta go with Alien. Alien is an excellent horror movie. It's my favorite horror movie. So, yeah.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, I want to say, hey, nice shirt, Austin. I love the shirt.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't think I didn't notice that, I did notice that.
Yes.
I did notice that. Yeah, Apocalypse Now is the greatest war movie of all time. It's just my opinion, and I know anything you say is your opinion. Okay, people that say that, I'm just saying, I feel Apocalypse Now is the greatest war movie of all time. It shows you the degradation, the misery, the just downright awfulness that war can create and cause and so forth. I mean, I love this movie so much. Alien, for the longest time, this movie scared the hell out of me until I saw the end of it again this summer when I rewatched all the. That's a damn guy in a suit. That's a guy in a suit. That shouldn't have scared me when I was a kid. That's a guy in a rubber daggone suit. So I'm going Apocalypse Now all day, every day of the week, and twice on Sunday.
All right.
I don't know if I would ruin the magic, but okay.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I mean, Alien is great. You guys know I'm an Aliens guy over Alien. Not to disparage Alien at all. Alien's incredible, and yeah, it's just I just have to be in the right mood to watch it. I love 70s movies. I've been obsessed with Apocalypse Now for the last 10 years or so. And if you guys don't have this 6-disc 4K set, it's amazing. Of Apocalypse Now, I've seen this set for like. Sometimes on Prime Day for like $20. It's a steal at that price. It is a steal. You get all 3 cuts in 4K, all 3 cuts on Blu-ray, a thing of special features, and Hearts of Darkness on Blu-ray, and that's a hell of a deal. So you can dig in, and I think that final cut is great. I absolutely adore this movie. Yeah, and it should have won Best Picture that year over Kramer vs. Kramer. Sorry to anybody who likes Kramer vs. Kramer. I think it's good, but Apocalypse Now should have won Best Picture. So I'll go Apocalypse Now.
I agree.
Jeremy Adams.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that Alien is one of the great horror movies. It's just for whatever reason, I don't love it quite as much as everyone else. I am a little bit more of an Aliens guy. It's a great film, obviously launched Ridley Scott, and there's a lot to love in it. The idea of it being kind of a gothic horror film in space was really groundbreaking and inspired a lot of other films. But yeah, I went against the Vietnam vet story last time. I'm going for it this time. Apocalypse Now, incredible filmmaking, just the visceral filmmaking, the craziness that they went through to even make that movie, but like setting fire to the actual jungle and all the stuff that they did. It's just Francis Ford Coppola giving himself a heart attack, Martin Sheen having a heart attack, and like injuring himself on camera, and it's in the movie.
A typhoon, like wiping out all their sets at one point and having to start over again. Yeah.
Like Lawrence Fishburne lying about being like 15 to be in the movie. It's so much craziness, but it's all there on the screen. It's incredible, and I just think the best war speech about war and what war is given by Marlon Brando when he talks about what they did to the children in the jungle with the arms. It gets me every time. So yeah, incredible film.
All right, and Eric.
Yeah, I don't disagree that Apocalypse Now is the best war movie there is. Like it's just a fantastic movie. I think I've seen the theatrical cut and whatever the other cut I've seen, one of the very long ones. I also seen the documentary, a fantastic story behind it. I am a big Alien guy, though. I'm a much more of a horror guy, so I kind of have to go. I gotta go Alien mostly because I did put that one in my top 64, and Apocalypse Now I didn't, which is probably a miss on me. Probably going to be tops when I rewatch it again sometime soon. Gotta go Alien, but I'm pretty sure I'm already outvoted, I think.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a close one though. So much love for both of these 79s.
Very fair.
The Apocalypse Now, and we'll move on to we got Hugo taking on the Pride of the Yankees. So Dan is up first.
Well, I just want to say, a buddy of mine wasn't able to come on this series, which I really I really miss him, and his name is Dylan Randazzo. He's a big New York Yankees fan. He would have liked to have seen Pride of the Yankees pop up on here. Me being a Boston Red Sox fan, I know that's blasphemy. How dare you put a movie called Pride of the Yankees on here? But the fact of the matter is, this is a great movie. Gary Cooper as Lou Gehrig is amazing, and Babe Ruth as himself. I love it. I love this movie. That being said, when Martin Scorsese does something, he doesn't do it half-ass. He doesn't, oh, well, Baba, ho hum, I'm going to use 3D. It's going to look whatever. No, it's going to look phenomenal. And that's what Hugo is. It's amazing, phenomenally looking with the 3D. You got to see this movie in 3D to get the full scope of how good Hugo is. And if you're a film fan, this is the movie for you to really show how you should appreciate filmmaking at its core and the creation of filmmaking and the magic of filmmaking. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie, Hugo. So I'm going to vote for Hugo over the Pride of the Yankees, even though I love Gary Cooper and that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see Hugo in 3D when it came out in 2011. Yeah, it was very good, and it was during the 3D craze. But yeah, I think Scorsese took pride in it and actually tried to make it unique. And it's very good. So I'm gonna vote for Hugo. Although I have seen Pride of the Yankees. It is when we did our baseball tier ranker a few years back. I watched it for that, and the one thing that threw me off about it is at the beginning of the movie, Gary Cooper's playing like high school Lou Gehrig, and still at 14, and it's really off-putting because you look like you're 50, Gary Cooper, and you're like, hey, I'm 16 years old, ma, heading off to college or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, maybe you could have recasted somebody a little younger, just for that spot. So it always throws me off, but I'm gonna vote for Hugo. Jeremy.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup here. Not two movies I really saw coming, but I really like both of these a lot. There is some kind of like old corniness, the 1940s Hollywood biopic in Pride of the Yankees. But by the end, when the story develops and Lou Gehrig, what goes through the tragic things that he's going through, and Gary Cooper gives that speech, which if you compare the actual speech to Gary Cooper's performance, he does such justice to it. It's really an incredible film moment. And yeah, seeing Babe Ruth in that movie, I think it really is a wonderful film. There's some of that corniness, but I think that just adds to the charm of it, and I love it. But I think Hugo is a really underrated Scorsese film. I along with Silence, I think those are like the two that I just kind of think got forgotten and are both so great and powerful in their own ways. And it's just, I don't think not very many other movies convey the love of cinema, and particularly the love of cinema history and of a great filmmaker like George Méliès, like Hugo does. And I honestly, when I went to see it in the theater, I also saw it in 3D, which was one of the best 3D experiences of that time. It was like up there with Avatar. It really was well done. But I didn't know that's what the movie was about. I hadn't read like the book that it was based on, the children's book. So when you find out who Ben Kingsley's character actually is, it really did hit me hard, because I actually went to film school and we studied those Méliès films and stuff. So yeah, it's powerful stuff. And if you haven't seen it, Martin Scorsese made a kids movie, and it's really wonderful and underrated. So I will go with Hugo.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I haven't seen Pride of the Yankees. Not a big sports guy overall, but I do like baseball as a movie sport. Looks great every time I've seen a baseball sports movie. This shows my age, but Hugo was the first Scorsese movie I ever saw. I was in middle school when it came out. I mean, not to dismiss how much love for the movie you have. I don't like it as much, but I think it's fine. I love any movie about the love of movies. That's just fantastic as a movie fan. And I think it's pretty fine, I guess. I got about Hugo by default. I made it too long. Sorry.
Yeah. And Jonathan.
And we have come across the one movie I watched for this, and it's The Pride of the Yankees.
Cool.
Yes, I watched it for this. It's either on Tubi or Peacock. Or Prime, actually. So I was like, okay, one of these three, I'll watch Pride of the Yankees. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think I was very surprised how straightforward it was. It was just straight to the line, to the finish line there. So Gary Cooper, I think Austin was right. I did not buy Gary Cooper.
God, the first like 20 minutes of that movie is so jarring when he's playing like a 16-year-old.
What
It's
is
just jarring.
this?
Yeah.
And then the parents, they were kind of a little over the top for me in the beginning. Then it just, pulled back on that corniness, and then, we got a good story coming along. It's straightforward, but then when we got to the third act, it was like it's definitely devastating and emotional, and that speech definitely earned. It earns the tears. I didn't cry, but it definitely earns the emotions of tears. So it's good. Hugo, I really like Hugo. I think it's an underrated Scorsese movie that's lost in the shuffles. It was one of my very few favorites of 2011. Not a great year for movies, but yeah, Hugo is wonderful. It's a wonderful, basically a wonderful children's like poem to the movies, and I think it's great. It's extraordinary, and yeah, again, this is probably the only Scorsese movie that children can see. Maybe The Aviator. I don't know. But Hugo gets my vote.
All right.
I mean,
Dan,
I wasn't a child,
but
but sorry, I wasn't a child, but I saw The Wolf of Wall Street like at 14, so I don't know. I survived it.
I like to show kids Taxi Driver. It's a great one to introduce them to. I was gonna say, if you haven't seen the Norm Macdonald Lou Gehrig speech from SNL, it's really, really funny, and only the way Norm Macdonald could do it. I won't do the whole thing, but like he basically comes out and does the whole, today I feel like the luckiest man in the world, and there's a pause, and he goes, I was being sarcastic. I am very, very unlucky. The way Norm can do, he goes, I have a disease so rare they named it after me.
Yeah. All right.
It's very, very funny. You should go look it up. It's very, very funny. And he's great, and as only Norm could. So it's very funny. All right, going down to Psycho and Man of a Thousand Faces.
Ooh.
It's on me. I have not seen Man of a Thousand Faces, but it sounded interesting when I looked it up, and so I'd be interested to watch it, but I don't know a lot about it. But Psycho is great. Yeah, really groundbreaking horror film, and probably one of my favorite Hitchcock, so I gotta go Psycho by default. But Jeremy?
Yeah, sorry, Dan. I have seen Man of a Thousand Faces. I think I was like 8 or 9, and because as a kid I really loved Lon Chaney and Lon Chaney Jr., so I know that I saw it at some point when I was watching as many Lon Chaney films as I could, and also loved James Cagney. But yeah, I haven't seen the movie in many, many years, nor even really thought of it anytime lately. It'd be really interesting to rediscover another one of those 40s biopics. You wonder like how much a lot of those were very fictionalized. So it'd be interesting to kind of see it. But yeah, Psycho is like easily top 10 movie of all time for me. Every time that I watch it, I love it more. I just think it was the film after North by Northwest, and Hitchcock, made it with his TV crew on a much lower budget because it was very salacious material, and he knew that it was going to be controversial. So, but somehow it's every bit as exciting and exhilarating as his big budget movies like North by Northwest and Vertigo, and the Anthony Perkins performance, the Janet Leigh performance, just they're there for the ages. So gotta go Psycho. But that's interesting. Man of a Thousand Faces. I haven't thought about that movie forever. Got very cool deep cut there, Dan.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I gotta go Psycho by default because I also haven't seen Man of a Thousand Faces, but I recently saw Todd Browning's Unknown with starring Lon Chaney. That man really did have an interesting face. I love that guy for what I've seen in that movie particularly. Psycho's great, easy because I've seen it.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I never heard of this movie until the list was sent to me. And Man of a Thousand Faces is an interesting movie based on the synopsis I've read. So it looks interesting. I'll save it on the watch list. But Psycho is an all-timer for me. It's a great Hitchcock movie, just suspenseful all the way through, with an excellent performance from Anthony Perkins. So Psycho will get my vote.
Should have been Oscar nominated, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Trivia question: how much money did the woman steal from her boss and then drive off into the night?
40 grand. Right?
Oh, good job, guys. Good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah, I wrote trivia questions.
I know. I know. That's why I knew you guys would know it. Yeah, Men of a Thousand Faces is about Lon Chaney Sr., who played like the Phantom of the Opera. He played all these like characters he on in silent films back in the day when there wasn't any words. And his son, Lon Chaney Jr., ended up playing the Wolfman. And this is a biopic about Lon Chaney Sr. and all the characters that he played over the years. And he was dubbed the Man of a Thousand Faces. Lon Chaney played the Wolfman, I said. But yeah, James Cagney. God, I love James Cagney. He is so good in this. I urge everybody to see. Do you want to learn about silent monster movies and silent film? This is a good one to watch to learn about some of those classic monster movies, the 20s monster movies. But Psycho, everybody said it. I don't have to say anything else. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, top 2 or 3 Hitchcock. So I got to go with Psycho.
All right.
Just glad I had the opportunity to share Man of a Thousand Faces. That's what this is kind of for me. I'm going to share the love of some of these great movies that maybe people haven't heard of.
Sure. And just want to let everybody know, 40 grand in 1960 in my inflation calculator is a little over 400,000. So that's quite a bit of chunk of change now. So a lot of money in 1960. All right. Going down to the Wolfman. Speaking of Lon Chaney, that's right, and we've got Big. With Tom Hanks. So, this
body
is,
transformation movies.
Yeah, this is an only on Turner Fight special. Yeah, 2 transformation movies technically. Yes. So Jeremy, go ahead.
Really tough. Yeah, I'm old like Dan, so I actually saw. You talked about your double feature, Dan. I saw a double feature of Big and Die Hard in the theater with my grandfather. So that was a heck of a day. Yeah, I love that movie. That's really where Tom Hanks. I mean, he had already been an emerging star in films before that, particularly Splash, but Big is where he really launched. And it's a wonderful movie. Penny Marshall, she was on a real roll then. Really, really great film. But man, I love The Wolfman. The Wolfman is one of my favorite of the Universal films. We mentioned Lon Chaney Jr. I think that the monsters before him were more like maniacal. Like the Invisible Man was psychotic. Dracula was disturbing. There was some pathos to the Frankenstein monster, but he still, was a fearsome creature. But the Wolfman is just a fully tragic character. Like this guy was just cursed to have this thing happen to him, and he was just such a sad sack, and you just felt for him at every moment. And man, Claude Rains as his father in the film, and the tragic relationship that the two of them have, it's just incredible stuff. It's really, I think, underrated. It's up there for me with The Invisible Man as like among my favorite Universal films and the more underrated ones. So I'm gonna go with The Wolfman, but love both of these. These are some good ones here.
Yeah. Eric.
Yeah, recently saw Benicio del Toro's as Wolfman. Probably not a great way to introduce yourself to that Wolfman, and I gotta see that, which means I haven't seen the 40s Wolfman, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because it's really good. I need to see it once more to fully claim I love the film, but I really liked it when I saw it, so I gotta go big, I guess.
All right, go big or go home. Jonathan.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I totally forgot I had a clip of that.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It turned into a bag.
No, Big is hilarious. Big is a funny movie, a good time. This is actually one of the Tom Hanks performances I adore. It's a fantastic performance. He really evokes the innocence of a child very well through an adult's body. He does it very well, especially when he's scared that he's staying in an apartment for the first time in a crime little department, and you buy that pain, that fear there. So Big's very good. I like it a lot. A little problematic at parts. Yeah, Elizabeth Perkins. I know she's, but but Wolfman, it's very good. Yeah, I actually agree with you, Jeremy. I think it is one of the more it's one of my favorite Universal Monsters movies. It's a very interesting film, painful film, but it's scary as well. So it's a good time. It is very close though. you know what? I've heard good things about this new Wolfman movie coming out. So, you know what? In the spirit, I'll go the Wolfman.
I hope so.
We'll see. Dan?
Yeah, I'm a big Tom Hanks fan, and one of the early ones that I really seen him start to come into his own as the man we know today was Big. He really became a child. I mean, he literally became a child in body and mind, and that to me is a phenomenal performance when you can do that as an actor. That being said, you'll hear me say that being said a lot because that's one of my favorite phrases. I am a massive Lon Chaney Jr. fan. One of the most emotional performances I've ever seen in my entire life is him as Lawrence Talbot. And he just exudes emotion, tragedy, all that good stuff. If you call that good stuff, that's what you want in your characters. And I love The Wolfman. It's my favorite Universal Monsters movie. The Bride of Frankenstein is second. And I am looking forward. I got my press screening on Tuesday for Wolfman.
All right. Nice. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it too. I love me some Lee Winnell. See what he's got going on. I think I'm also going to go with The Wolfman. I like those Universal Monster movies. They're very fun to watch around Halloween, and they're very easy to watch. The one thing I love about them is they're all like 70 minutes. It's great. Yeah, for sure. they're just breezy. You can bang out a couple of an afternoon, no problem. Even stuff like Frankenstein Bride is like 62 minutes. I remember I saw in theaters, Dan. I saw a double feature one time in Fathom Events. They did Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein on a double feature because they're both like 60 minutes, so you can just bang them out. No problem. And they're great. I love those movies. I'll go with The Wolfman. All right. So Wolfman moves on.
Somewhere out there, Wolfman's happy.
That's right. Got Pulp Fiction and 12 Years a Slave. Some heavy hitters. Eric.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 Years a Slave. Is similar-ish to Schindler's List, and great movie. I don't need to see it more times, but I think it's great. I think the only fault I have with that movie is the Brad Pitt stuff, but besides that, it's a pretty good movie. Pulp Fiction is like in my top 5 movies all time. Like it was the movie that made me fall in love with other movies. It's no longer number 1 because I've seen a whole lot of movies since then, but still close to my heart. So I gotta go Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, Jonathan.
Yes. So I came across 12 Years a Slave when I was a high schooler when I had to read the book. It was like required reading, and I had a test on it. I did really well on that, by the way. But 12 Years a Slave, I was hooked. I was hooked onto that book, and I thought to myself, like, I hope this is made into a movie. And then years later, of course, it was made into a movie, and it was great. Great movie by Steve McQueen. Powerful, disturbing, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching. Yeah, fantastic. But Pulp Fiction, I rewatch more. So Pulp Fiction is still an excellent movie in my book. So Pulp Fiction gets my vote.
All right. Dan.
Yeah, I mean, Pulp Fiction, I know everybody's going to love Pulp Fiction. It's on here all the time. People talk about it all the time. There's not a whole lot I can say about it. But I want to champion 12 Years a Slave because I just feel like this movie does something with the genre that you rarely have seen before. We don't, and like Lupita Nyong'o, Chiwetel Ejiofor. One of my favorite quotes in the movie is "Rags and tatters, rags and tatters." That's from Bill Camp. It's got Paul Giamatti, Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, it's got every. How did this not win Best Director and Best Actor? I'll never know. I know
Actor was competitive though.
Sean,
Dude, every category that year was super stacked. I mean,
Matthew McConaughey won
the
Dallas Buyers Club, I believe, and then director was Cuarón for Gravity. I know who all the people that won. I just still wish these guys had won instead. I just feel like you give Best Picture and Best Screenplay to a movie, but you can't give Best Director and Best Actor. Come on, give me a break. And I saw this movie on October 18th of 2013 or whatever, 2012, I forget what. And I said to myself, I walked out of that theater, an art house theater here in Orlando, that's going to be the Best Picture winner. And I knew it as soon as I saw it. 12 Years a Slave for me.
All right. Yeah, this one's interesting. I might actually vote for 12 Years a Slave here just because we don't see it that much on
Wow.
tournament fights. And yeah, it's an incredible film, incredible experience. Man, Michael Fassbender in that movie is just
Oh,
sinister and just a nasty, nasty character, but yeah, an amazing performance. And yeah, and again, another stacked category. He's going up against,
that would have been my Oscar winner right there.
Jared Leto and Barker Abdi and Jonah Hill and Wolf of Wall Street, who's great. Like, just again, another stacked category. So, who do you take out? I don't know. But he's great, and could have gotten it that year. So, I might go 12 Years a Slave here, just because it's we don't see it that often. But I'll leave it to Jeremy.
Wow, tie breaking again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would never say 12 Years a Slave isn't an excellent film. It is. Like you said, it has incredible performances, a really important piece of history. I just think that Steve McQueen has gotten even better as a filmmaker since then, like with the Small Axe films and stuff. I feel like he's honed his craft even more as a filmmaker. I feel like there's a little bit of unevenness in some of the filmmaking in 12 Years a Slave. As powerful as it is and as great as the performances are, I really, I'm not taking anything away from the importance of the film, but for me, does not hold a candle to Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is... It's film dynamite. It threw a bomb into the cinematic world when it came out. It changed what, somebody like me who was 14 when that film came out, it changed what cinema could be. Like just this novelistic, people are just going to talk and it's not going to be plot based, but it's still going to be exciting and interesting and violent things will happen. It's just Tarantino just changed what cinema could be with that film, and I still think it's one of his best, and just every performance except for Tarantino, but every performance in that movie to me is incendiary. I never.
That was supposed to be Buscemi, by the way, and I think it would have worked better with him.
Yeah, it would have worked much better with Buscemi. But yeah, I like him as the Buddy Holly waiter though. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry, Pulp Fiction. Sorry.
All right. All right. Yeah. Pulp Fiction. All right. Going down. We got a few more on this side. We're almost done. Boyhood and Predator is what that is in the Predator writing. So Boyhood versus Predator. Yeah. This is an.
That is the most.
That's an only on tournament fights right there.
That is the most.
All right. Jonathan, go first.
What can I say about this matchup? It's about a boy who had to combat a predator for 12 years. I don't know. That would be awesome, actually. No, but Predator is one of the rewatchable action movies for me. It's a rewatchable film. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, they're kicking butt. You have the handshake, of course. John McTiernan before Die Hard, right? So you could see the hallmarks of his style here when you see it in Die Hard. He demonstrates himself as a very good action filmmaker for sure. Boyhood, it's a great movie. It actually holds a soft spot in my heart because even though it's a Texas film, it's definitely relatable in terms of some sort of traumas in his journey. You know what? I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to choose the underdog here. I'm going to choose Boyhood.
All right, Dan.
I don't have time to bleed.
I ain't got time.
Jesse Ventura. I love him in that film. Carl Weathers is in it. Just one of those Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Jeremy knows how much. 1987. What a great year for action films. You got Terminator and you got Predator in 1987. Two greats of all time. I'll tell you right now, Boyhood is my favorite Richard Linklater film. I just feel like I'd like to see more films like this, though, where you get to see a person's life through the years,
He's making another one.
Yeah, he is making another one. I know he is. And I think these type of slice of life type of movies where you get to see a boy growing up for 12 years was fascinating to me, but I'm an 80s junkie just like Jeremy. Jeremy knows this. I don't talk about the 80s as much as the 70s, but I am a big 80s guy. So I got to go with Arnie and Predator.
Dylan, you son of a bitch. Oh my god, look at the machismo is just oozing off the screen. No, Predator is one of my all-time favorite movies. I just dig it. I think it's amazing. I've always argued it's one of the great examples of a reverse action movie where it starts with the big shootouts and the guns and breaks down and becomes this primal guerrilla warfare, movie without the guns and just it has to use its brains. I think it's great, and it just the way it breaks down is amazing. So Boyhood, I'm not a big fan of Boyhood. I appreciate the aesthetic and the filmmaking involved and the process, but it just lacks that narrative thrust for me. So I gotta go Predator.
Talk. No more games.
I'm sorry, it's me next.
Yeah.
I actually really love Boyhood. I'm a big Richard Linklater fan. It can't be understated how much of an impact Richard Linklater made in the 90s. The film, his early film Slacker, his first three, Slacker, Days of Confused, and Before Sunrise, just changed my life. I was a young guy then, and they did for a lot of people. And I think Boyhood is the continuation of kind of that independent spirit and just letting people talk and express themselves in their lives, and just kind of like the importance of just the everyday interactions. He just captures that in a way that few filmmakers do, and being able to do the 12 years experimentation that he did there, I think it's a really powerful movie. But yeah, Predator is just so much. It's just the absolute zenith of 80s cheese, yet incredible. It's the synthesis of all of that stuff. Like, you've got the action and the horror of the Terminator, but you've got the cheesiness of all of those other Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Van Damme. Like, all of it's just wrapped into this perfect package. And I just think John McTiernan, just with that and Die Hard and Hunt for Red October, he had the key to something there that was just for somebody that loves action and machismo and those great iconic actors like Schwarzenegger and Willis and Connery. There's just something rare in those films. So I am going to go with Predator.
All right. And Eric.
Yeah, Linklater is one of my favorites. He makes such a good slice of life movies. Like, they are very regular people thing. But I saw Boyhood when it first came up. I was growing up myself when it came up, so I didn't really appreciate it. I got to see it again once a lot more older. But Predator, I come back more often. Like, I didn't expect to love it as much when I first saw it like a couple years ago. And Predator, we'll talk a lot. I always come up and Predator comes up a lot, and I rave about it. You know how I feel about Predator. It's great. Got to go Predator.
Awesome.
Predator. All right, Predator moves on, and it's about two more. We got Jaws and Kramer versus Kramer.
The aforementioned Kramer versus Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer. Yes.
There
Dan.
you go.
Yeah. I love Kramer versus Kramer. I'm a massive. My favorite actress of all time is Meryl Streep, and one of my top 3 or 4 actors of all time is Dustin Hoffman. I love a movie that deals with real subjects and real situations in the world and stuff. We get so much fluff and so much goofiness in movies, and this movie tackled a real subject of divorce and separation and stuff like that, and that's why I love this movie. And I understand where you said that you didn't think you thought Apocalypse Now should have won Best Picture. I feel like because of the realness of Kramer versus Kramer and stuff, maybe that dealt with a lot of people could relate to it. I'm not sure, Austin, but Jaws is one.
I just think it was the safe movie that they picked. I don't know. I don't know.
I gotcha. I understand. Jaws is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I would say top 2 or 3. Spielberg for me. He's my second favorite director. It's the movie that coined the phrase blockbuster because people are lined up around the block down the street to see it. I absolutely love this movie, people. So many people love this movie, but the reason is because it's a great film. And 75, what a great year 75 was for films. So because Jaws is so iconic in so many different things, in so many different ways, and in the fluke of the Bruce the shark not working and how the movie ended up, and then the score. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, Jaws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty easily going to go Jaws here. It's no disrespect to Kramer vs. Kramer. I do think it's a good movie. If anybody who's seen Marriage Story and likes Marriage Story, go watch Kramer vs. Kramer. It's a very similar movie, just with less yelling. A little more civil discourse. But Jaws is a top tenner for me, so it's pretty easily going to be Jaws here. Jeremy.
I mean, Spielberg's my favorite filmmaker, and Jaws is probably my favorite Spielberg film for this. So there's not really anything that's going to beat it, but I am going to vote for Jaws. But I do want to defend Kramer versus Kramer. It's just one of those things where, it won Best Picture against Apocalypse Now and a couple other, iconic films like Alien wasn't even nominated. So it gets crapped on unnecessarily when it really is a great film. One of the best Dustin Hoffman performances, Meryl Streep just on her rise then. It's so good and touching, and it just it was at a time when things were different and women tended to always get custody of the kids in a divorce, and this was a situation where the father was fighting to keep his son, and it just showed a different view of things, and I think it really resounded with a lot of people at the time, and I think that it had a powerful effect that maybe times have left it behind, and there are different issues and different things that we think about now, and it doesn't seem as relevant, but in its moment it really sent shockwaves, and I do hope that people go back and give it a chance. And I say all the same things about Ordinary People, which also gets crapped on for the same reason, but this was at a time when psychology and families and all those sort of things were really being dealt with in a more real way, both in society and in art and film. So those are two really good movies that I think people should rediscover.
All right. Eric.
Yeah, I'm really glad somebody else brought how much love actually Kramer versus Kramer deserves, because I do think it's a really good movie. Apocalypse Now is much more impressive and iconic, but Kramer versus Kramer is really good. But Jaws, I'm never been happier that Jordan Anderson is not here, because it's such a great movie. I have the poster over there. It's the first thing I see in the morning when I wake up. Such a great poster. Sometimes it scares me. Recently bought the sequels. That shows you how much I love Jaws.
Yeah.
And this aren't even good, but 2 is fine. But I have them. It's a Jaws, yeah.
All right. Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, Kramer versus Kramer is very good. I like it very much. It's a very poignant portrait of divorce, and it's quite witnessed from a viewer's perspective quite well, and it's very interesting. I really like the kid's performance. I forgot his name, but he's fantastic.
Justin Henry,
yes.
I think his performance when he's getting the stitches is actually really, really impressive. His screams and stuff are really visceral and things.
And
like
then
that.
he was the horny brother in 16 Candles. It's wild.
He was exceptions. Yes, fantastic. It's more Hoffman's movie than Meryl Streep's, because Meryl is gone for most of the movie. But they're all good. The job interview scene actually that stood out to me. I thought it was great. I mean, you see all these people, dancing around on Christmas, and then he's just the one waiting, and his life is on the line basically. But I have a take. Jaws is in my top 64. Of course, I'm going to go with Jaws. Jaws is great. So Jaws.
Just real quick. I know we're getting. I like the cooking breakfast scene where he's got the kid and he's cooking them.
Yeah.
I really love that scene in Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah, it's really good. All right, and we got The Hangover.
All right.
Which I found a little Disney goofy cartoon poster, which I thought was funny. And T2, Terminator 2. Yes. Yeah, no, this is fun for the whole family. All right. Me first. Yeah, no, I think The Hangover might have been the last of the sort of politically incorrect 2000s movies. It might have been the kind of last batch of that before they kind of broke away from it. And I still do think it's great. But yeah, I mean, T2's an all-timer, and I if I have to go between T1 or T2, I slightly prefer the original Terminator just because I love the horror feel of it. But it's no disrespect to T2 because it's still one of the great action movies of all time. So go T2. Jeremy?
Yeah, one of the most interesting movie watching experiences for me was watching The Hangover with my mom, thinking, I don't know if this is going to be something she'll appreciate, and it like became her favorite comedy ever. Like she just
Wow.
died laughing because my mom loved to gamble and go to Vegas and stuff. So it was like that was one of the most like accurate movies to her ever, of just the Vegas experience and the craziness of it. So yeah, I have a real soft spot for that movie for that reason. But I have a softer spot for T2 because it came out when I was 12 years old and it changed all of our lives. And just what James Cameron did with the action cinema with that film just can't be underestimated. And it's like subtly one of the most important like feminist movies of its time, just with Linda Hamilton's performance. Like that performance and that character kind of changed everything for me and a lot of people at that time. So yeah, it's an incredible movie. I kind of agree. I might still prefer the first one. It's hard to say, but they're both incredible. Two of my favorites. So yeah, T2.
All right. Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I'm not a big Hangover guy. Like I think I used to, and then I grew out of it. Not that it's bad or anything. It's just I don't know. It's something else, I guess. T2 is great. I think I saw T2 before I saw Terminator because we had T2 in DVD, so I watched it first for that reason. I think I kind of balance my not putting Aliens before Alien by putting T2 over the Terminator, but Terminator is also great. I gotta go Judgment Day, not The Faction.
Yeah. Jonathan.
Yeah, The Hangover is very funny. I rewatched this one a lot. I laugh at it a lot. There are numerous scenes you could laugh to. I mean, I think my favorite, involves the tiger. Any scene with the tiger, it leads to Mike Tyson, and we see why they steal the tiger for sure. But yeah, it's funny. Terminator 2, excellent movie, excellent sequel. I mean, Linda Hamilton kicking ass, of course, but and Robert Patrick just psychotic as ever as the villainous role. But yeah, I gotta go T2 on this one. Yeah, T2.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of crap from people because I don't like comedies, but I have a high standard for comedies. Maybe I'm on my high horse here, but I have a high standard for comedies, and every comedy just doesn't make me laugh. One of the ones that made me laugh more than I can possibly say is The Hangover. I laughed so hard, and I know it's a knee slapper. Literally, it was a knee slapper. I'm doing this the whole damn movie. I watched it multiple times with mixed audiences, and everybody was laughing their ass off. And so that's what makes it great for me. And I want good comedy. We have lost comedy in Hollywood. We aren't making great comedies anymore. That being said, one of the greatest action films of all time, and another Schwarzenegger classic, is Terminator 2. And for everything what you guys said, I got to go with T2. But please make more good comedies. I'm sick of these crappy comedies.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last one on this side. The Graduate and Oppenheimer. All right, Jeremy.
That's tough. Yeah, Graduate's a very important movie for me. I saw it as a kid, and yeah, it really, just the themes that it deals with. It was like, some of the first really adult sort of themes that I saw in a film. But yeah, that score, the Simon and Garfunkel and everything, Dustin Hoffman's performance, just iconic stuff. I just don't think that it's lingered with me as much in recent years. Like, it's something that was really big for me in my younger years, but now it's like I don't go back to The Graduate as much as I used to. Like, there are other Mike Nichols films, like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, that I've really come to appreciate more as I've gotten older. Whereas The Graduate, there's something that kind of seems a little immature about it to me now, even though it's an iconic film. Yeah, Oppenheimer is just an incredible masterpiece. Like, seeing that movie in the theater just mind blowing. Like it's just, and I was somebody who was kind of like being a little bit of the dick, saying that I thought Christopher Nolan had fallen off a little bit. Like everything that he made after Inception, I wasn't the biggest fan of. Like I'm like one of the few people who kind of like didn't love Interstellar and kind of had an attitude about it. Didn't like Dunkirk very much. So just for him to come back and put everything that he's ever really been interested in into one film like this, and just do a kind of the rote idea of a biopic, but do it in such an incredible way and with such really important themes that are as important now as they were at the time. With just, you know, are we going to just kill ourselves as a species? Is this what we've become? And it's like, it's just always hanging there, like him in that room with the people celebrating him, and he just sees them all melting. Like we're still there. Like it could happen any minute. Like we have the power to end ourselves. And it's just the way that he articulates that in this big, sweeping, you know, epic film is incredible. So yeah, Oppenheimer for me, not taking anything away from what Mike Nichols did with The Graduate, but I just think it's a more important film for me at this point in my life.
Yeah. Eric.
Yeah, I love Oppenheimer. I saw it 3 times in the theater, way more than Barbie, which I only saw once. But Oppenheimer's so good. No, Barbie's really good too. It's not dismissal of Barbie. I even got my dad to watch it twice. My dad never watches a movie more than once. He even doesn't finish it. Some movies in the theater because he has to sleep. And Oppenheimer's a talking movie, so it's just such a great movie. The Graduate, I kind of agree with the immature thing, but it's one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Wow.
It's one of those I saw very young, like in middle school, I want to say. I saw 500 Days of Summer. They referenced that movie, this movie and that movie. I got to watch that movie then. I found it in the yard sale, saw it, and my life has never been the same since. I see it every time after a big accomplishment in life, like graduating high school, college, a couple of years after college and all that. It's such a great movie. I'll go back to it, not that often, but every time I go, I learn something about myself. So I appreciate that it's here on the list, and I vote for it.
All right. Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm actually with Jeremy on this one, on The Graduate. I watched it once. Like, it's fine. It's good. A few funny scenes, funny moments. I mean, Anne Bancroft in that role as Miss Robinson, of course. I mean, everybody would have a crush on her for sure.
Yeah.
And Dustin Hoffman is good as always. And also, wait, what's his name from Boy Meets World? He's
William Daniels.
William Daniels, yes. He's good at it as well.
Ray Hamilton from Jaws.
Yeah, as well. Yeah. Now, today, I will announce it later, but today I did a best movies of the 2020s so far, since we're halfway through the decade. And of course, Oppenheimer's up there. But if I were, and I alphabetized them, but if I were to choose one that is my number one, it's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, I think, you know, it's probably the least amount of time I can just say it's a masterpiece, because I watched it like 4 times, and he basically built up his career to this movie, and he deserved that Best Picture win. He deserved that Best Director, and it's a monumental achievement from him, and it's a great movie. It probably may dethrone The Dark Knight as my number one, my favorite one, maybe, if I see it another time. We'll see. But yeah, it's soon going to be in my 128, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I got to choose Oppenheimer. I think it's an excellent movie. So Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, I'm with Jeremy. A lot of what he said, I just absolutely love the character, the main character played by Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. Everybody, Joan, was it Bancroft? You guys said
Anne Bancroft.
Anne Bancroft. She's great. I love the black and white. I love the soundtrack. Simon and Garfunkel. That soundtrack is probably one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. It's only 4 songs, but all 4 songs are incredible. I absolutely love the Graduate. Oppenheimer was one of those moments when I saw it twice in a week. I saw it 70 millimeter on a Tuesday, and I saw it in 35 millimeter on a Thursday. And the 70 millimeter was better, but it didn't take away from the overall enjoyment of the movie. And I've seen probably Oppenheimer 6 times since then. You know, that's how much I love that movie. And I think it's what everybody said here. I think it's the crowning achievement, and it's neck and neck with me with The Dark Knight and Oppenheimer for the best Christopher Nolan film. So I'm going to go Oppenheimer. If Graduate was up against something else, I might have went with The Graduate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Graduate's another one I saw in theaters for the first time. About 15 years ago. Give me one of my biggest laughs I've ever had in the theater. I don't know if it was supposed to be that funny, but it's the bit where she says, "Do you find me undesirable?" And he says, "No, I think you're the most attractive of all my parents' friends."
Yeah,
I think I don't know. Like that gave me. I damn near fell over laughing the first time. I just thought that was so funny. So it's a good movie. I dig it, but Oppenheimer was my second favorite movie of last year. It was second only to the sequel to Oppenheimer, Godzilla -1. The results of the nuclear testing. They make it for a great double feature, and I've seen great mashups of those two movies. So I love Oppenheimer. I also saw it 3 times in theaters, and I've seen it 2 or 3 times since then on 4K. So love me some Oppenheimer. All right. There we go. All right, let's jump to the other side. We'll probably pick up the pace just a tad, just for Dan's sake.
How are you feeling, Dan?
I'm doing all right, actually. Well, in the middle of that one segment, something bad happened. You guys.
Oh no, I got you. Well, we'll pick it up a little bit on this side. We'll start with Fargo and Witness. Eric.
Yeah, it's a battle of movies I only seen once that I ought to see again. I gotta go Fargo because I gotta go see that one again. More with more rush. Fargo.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan.
Damn it. Yeah, Witness is a superb movie. I like that movie a lot, a whole lot. One of my favorite Harrison Ford performances. Very smart script. An interesting procedural, for sure, that involves the Amish community, but also wholesome as well. And also a nice romance. So, yeah, I like this movie a lot. But it's against an all-timer, in my opinion, of Fargo. I think it's an excellent movie from the Coen brothers. And Frances McDormand, she has one of the best performances of all time. Mm-hmm. So Fargo gets my vote.
Mm-hmm. Dan.
Yeah. Oh, Harrison Ford. He was coming off of all these phenomenal movies, all the Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones movies. Then he does Witness, and you're like, wow, this guy really has the chops, the acting chops and stuff. And this really had a great message and a great story and stuff. But like Jonathan said, it's just, Fargo is one. Hey, Margie. Hey, Austin, you want some of that True Coat? You want that True Coat, Austin?
You gonna stay at the Radisson?
Yeah, I want to stay at the Radisson. No, Fargo. I love the wood chipper scene. Wood chipper scene. Oh my God, I love it. I just absolutely love it. So Fargo.
Yeah, Witness is one of my weird blind spots. I've never seen it. I need to get to it, and I'll get to it at some point. Filling my Harrison Ford gaps. But I'm in the camp that I think Fargo should have won Best Picture that year over English Patient. And I'm with if you go back and look at '96, Siskel and Ebert also thought the same thing.
No, different years.
No, same year.
Same year.
No, Fargo won Best Picture.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
It lost to English Patient, Dan.
Lost to English Patient.
Yeah.
I literally have it pulled up on Wikipedia right now because I
remember that ceremony.
Yeah. No, I'm with Siskel and Ebert that year that said it should have won over English Patient, and I'm with it because we're still talking about that movie, and I'm gonna go Fargo. Jeremy.
Yeah, this is really painful. I love Peter Weir. This is another one of his great films that he's just an underrated, great Australian filmmaker. This is one of the first films that he made in the States after some great films in Australia, and one of the best Harrison Ford performances. Wonderful, wonderful film. Kelly McGillis is great in that. But yeah, it's Fargo. Fargo is just one of the all-time great films. Like, it's one of the great films of the 90s, an incredible decade. Every performance in that movie is spot on. I think Peter Stormare is like low-key one of the scariest characters ever. Like, it's just like, he doesn't get like that character's up there with like Hannibal Lecter for me. Like, he gets slept on in the terms of horrifying characters, up there with Anton Chigurh. And it's just crazy to think how much is packed into that movie, and it's like just over 90 minutes long. It's crazy. I think it's like 96 minutes. It's wild just how concise the Coen brothers can be in their filmmaking. So yeah, definitely Fargo.
All
You
right.
betcha.
Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. All right. Clean sweep for the Fargo. Okay. Let's do it. Okie dokie. Got the thing. And on the
Ooh.
waterfront.
Oh man. Damn
Oh
it.
boy, Jonathan.
Okay. Two excellent movies and two different genres. The Thing, excellent sci-fi film, excellent horror film, all-time great movie. On the Waterfront, yeah, definitely one of the great Best Picture winners. With the fantastic performance by Marlon Brando. I could have been a contender. You know what I mean? Yeah, it really hit with me the first few times I saw it. I was like, this is such good filmmaking. This is such great acting from every person in that movie. And I want to see it again. I actually wanted to watch this again for this tournament, and I couldn't get to it. But yeah, we see The Thing a lot, but I'm going to champion On the Waterfront. I think it's a great Elia Kazan film with a great all-time performance by Marlon Brando. And Eva Marie Saint, I think she's in it as well. So On the Waterfront gets my vote.
Okay. Dan.
Yeah, look, I know a lot of people are big horror fans in this community, and we always talk about John Carpenter and Halloween and The Thing. The Thing is incredible. The cold, all that stuff is really claustrophobic and stuff. You're stuck in there. You don't know what's going on. It's crazy. I love The Thing so much. On the Waterfront, though, is a character study of a man and his morals and his way he thinks and the way he makes decisions and stuff. And like Jonathan, I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead, I'm a nobody. I'm a bum. Whatever. I didn't get that quote right, but it's close.
Bum, which is what I am.
Yeah. On the Waterfront is just so good. It's so good. If you haven't seen On the Waterfront, you got to see it. This is one of the things you can watch with Brando and realize what a great actor Brando really is. So I'm going On the Waterfront.
Yeah. On the Waterfront's another one I got to see in the theater, luckily, for my first viewing. So good stuff there. Kudos to the Cinemark Classic series back in the 2010s was killing it. It's very good. But I can't vote for it over my second favorite horror movie of all time. I've also seen The Thing in the theater like 4 times, and man, does that movie play in a theater, man. If you ever get a chance to, holy hell, is it great. I'll go with that. Jeremy.
Yeah, it's really tough. The Thing is, way up there for me in terms of horror films. It's just John Carpenter at his absolute best. I actually would, for me, slightly put it ahead of Halloween, and that's saying a lot. But On the Waterfront is just one of the all-time great films that Hollywood has ever made. Marlon Brando gives an all-timer performance, but the entire cast is just the absolute best character actors of the 50s. You've got Carl Malden as the priest, who's just incredible. Eva Marie Saint won an Oscar, incredible. And then Lee J. Cobb, just one of the great film villains. And I think this, along with 12 Angry Men, are just 2 great asshole performances. Like nobody did it as well as he did. And then Rod Steiger, just as Marlon Brando's brother, is the one that he actually gives that speech to. And that scene is as much about Rod Steiger as it is about Marlon Brando, because he's the one that made Brando give up his boxing career and take a dive for the gangsters, and he broke his brother's heart, and you see how that weighs on him, and he ultimately, what Rod Steiger does after that scene is so tragic, and it's just incredible film. Talks a lot about unions and just kind of what's wrong in the heart of the American dream, and I think it's as relevant today. So I'm going to go with On the Waterfront, which hurts because I love The Thing.
And there.
Yeah, I was gonna watch On the Waterfront for the first time, but Jeremy spoiled me already, so I'm not watching it anymore.
I didn't give away everything.
No, I know. I'm kidding. No, I gotta watch that one. I only ever seen the Marlon Brando scene everybody talks about, and that's it. But I'm really interested in seeing it because for what I've seen of Marlon Brando, I really like his performances. You will find me very hard for me to vote against The Thing against any movie, so I gotta go for The Thing anyway.
All right, but On the Waterfront's going to pull the upset here. So there you go.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
thing wins often. It's fine.
Yeah, it wins a lot. All right, going to Finding Nemo and a little more Harrison Ford with The Fugitive. Yeah.
Actually, kind of the same thing, kind of relatable in a way. Thematically.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows. One of the other things people know about me, I'm not the biggest animation guy. But when I see an animated movie that really moves me and really gets me in the feels, I really want to champion it. And one of those is Finding Nemo. That whole movie is such a phenomenal story. Albert Brooks and everybody involved in the movie. It's just, if you're a father, you can really relate to that movie so much. I'm not a father, but I just there's something about it that really moved me so much, and that's what all films should do, and that's why it's on this list. Finding Nemo really moved me quite a bit. That being said, The Fugitive, The One-Armed Man, I'm not who you're looking for. I don't care. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford are phenomenal opposite each other's in The Fugitive, based on the popular television show. But I got to go with The Fugitive over Finding Nemo. I might be the outlier here. Who knows?
No. No, I got to see The Fugitive the first time in the theater last year or the year before, whatever it was when they did I think it was 2 years ago when they did now I say last year because I'm still in 2023 to 2024 mode. But yeah, in the theater, that was great. And that movie plays on the big screen as well. And I think Finding Nemo is okay. It's not one of my favorite personal Pixar movies. So I'll go with The Fugitive. Jeremy?
I mentioned earlier how my dad got me into Hitchcock, and I watched North by Northwest because of him. But I got to see Fugitive opening day in the theater with my dad, and it is very North by Northwesty. It's that same kind of innocent man on the run. Everyone's after him, and it's such an incredible film. If you haven't seen it, it may not be one of the most famous Harrison Ford movies, but it should be because it's an awesome movie. Man, they actually crashed a train for that movie. We didn't have CGI then like we do now. They had to actually crash a train, and it's so awesome. But for me, Finding Nemo is, I think, the movie where Pixar became the Pixar that we know today. Like there were emotional things in Monsters Inc. and Toy Story 2 and things before, but it all came together in Finding Nemo, and the emotions, the idea of having a son who, is kind of handicapped with his fin, and then, him being separated from it is it's so great. Incredible supporting characters, the cast, Willem Dafoe, and so many great actors in that. Eric Bana is one of the Australian Sharks. It's just so much fun. Wonderful Thomas Newman score. I know a lot of great Pixar films have come since, but I still think Finding Nemo's in the mix, so I will go Finding Nemo.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, I gotta see The Fugitive more often. I have seen it, but it's been a while. It's one of my dad's favorite movies, so I gotta force him to see it with me sometime soon, for the sake of it. Finding Nemo, I grew up watching it. I know most every line in Spanish, sadly, so I cannot quote it as much as other people can in this context. So I gotta go Finding Nemo, mostly for the closeness, I guess.
All right, we'll leave it to Jonathan there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, two great movies here. Leslie Nielsen is excellent in this movie. I mean, running away from a train, had to, be pursued by Richard Crenna, I think.
And in the middle of the movie, there's a crop duster that comes and finds him and ends up just being a remote control plane.
Exactly. Weird. I mean, boy, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But in all seriousness, no, but The Fugitive is great. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford, they're all fantastic. Joe Pantoliano, he's great. He keeps you guessing. It's very smart about it, and Andrew Davis does a fantastic job in direction. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a director who should have been nominated that year. Finding Nemo, excellent movie as well. So it's a movie that stays with me as well. I actually watched these equally. So, The Fugitive.
All right.
Nice.
All right. Okay, there we go.
Jeremy, your microphone. You're you're either getting far away from your microphone or your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
I was muted for a second because I was coughing.
Oh, were you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right.
12 Angry Men and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, what the hell?
All right.
Come on, man.
Yeah. All right, it's on me. Yeah, this is a tricky one because Raiders is one of the great adventure movies of all time. But you know what? Just for the sake of this, we see Raiders a lot. And we see 12 Angry Men a couple of times here and there. I just watched it again recently because I showed it to my girlfriend who had never seen it, and man, that movie slaps. That movie catches you off guard and just hooks you in so great. And also, I just watched Juror number 2, which is kind of like has a little bit of 12 Angry Men in there as well. Definitely an influence there. And so maybe I'm on a courtroom kick, but you know what? I'll go 12 Angry Men here. Why not? Jeremy?
Muted.
Yeah, I think you're muted or your mic is off.
Yeah, it's my. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're good.
You're good now. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite action movie of all time, and I love Steven Spielberg, and that movie is everything to me. So it breaks my heart to have to vote for 12 Angry Men because that movie is absolutely perfect. One of the great films of the 50s that holds up. Every performance from Henry Fonda to the aforementioned Lee J. Cobb to Jack Warden to Ed Begley, just a perfect movie. And all you have to do is watch the 90s version to see how that just isn't as good. You can never recreate what they created under the direction of Sid Lumet. So yeah, I'm going to go 12 Angry Men, which really, really hurts because God, I love Raiders.
And you can make an argument for maybe the best director debut of all time. That's the first movie of Sidney Lumet. Holy hell. Yeah, but it's up there. Eric?
Yeah, this is tough. Two absolutely perfect movies. Really funny about Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm more of a Last Crusade guy, but it's 1A to 1B. It's not that big of a gap. Just see Last Crusade more often, I guess. 12 Angry Men, I saw it for the first time for a debate class, and it was great. Like everybody, this black and white movie. It wasn't a film class, so most people weren't expecting a great movie. And I was, I've heard of this. I've heard it's good, and it was. It's great. I'm gonna vote for Raiders, not because it's better. I think they are equal, but because 12 Angry Men is winning, so I want to see what happens.
Okay, yeah, Jonathan.
They're both in my 64, so it is painful for me. Both excellent. Both, yeah, I would say perfect. Actually, yeah, I would put in that category. Austin made a great point. We see Raiders a lot here. So, yeah, I'm going to give my love to... We got a Spielberg movie through. Let's get a Lumet movie through. 12 Angry Men.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah. This is a great matchup. My second favorite director, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, one of the all-time iconic characters. That being said, 12 Angry Men is a perfect movie like Jeremy said or somebody said. It's phenomenal. Henry Fonda is phenomenal. Everybody in the cast is phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to go with, and I got 12 Angry Men. I think it's 6 or 7 of my top 10 of all time. So I got to go with 12 Angry Men.
All right, 12 Angry Men. Moving on. All right, and we're going to The Apartment and Lawrence of Arabia. So another kind of we got a 60s matchup here, which is rare. Yeah, 60s match. Jeremy.
Experience within the last few months of seeing Lawrence of Arabia on the big screen for the first time in actual 70 millimeter film projection. It was an incredible experience just seeing that film, just with that score, the Maurice Jarre score, the just the direction of David Lean, the cinematography. It's an incredible experience on the big screen, which was good because I've always kind of not loved that movie before. It's just something about the character of Lawrence that kind of held me at arm's length. But actually seeing it and kind of getting the epic scope of the film and what you get from it, what it kind of symbolizes in terms of a man trying to do something great and then kind of like losing himself somewhat in the meantime, and just we know what a mess the Middle East still is and probably always will be, and that movie really shows the quagmire in such a powerful way. And yeah, I really appreciate the film. Still not one of my favorites. Something in the story is missing for me, but you can't deny the spectacle. But The Apartment is like the opposite. It's a smaller film, but the screenplay, the characters, the humor, the tragedy, everything that Billy Wilder does in that movie. Jack Lemmon, one of my all-time favorite performances, one of my all-time favorite characters. Shirley MacLaine, incredible in that film. The Apartment, I think, is, a Billy Wilder movie that I don't think is held up as highly as it should be. There are other ones that I think a lot of people kind of go to first, but The Apartment for me is incredible. So glad I got to see Lawrence of Arabia and have that experience. But yeah, The Apartment is the pick for me still.
All right. Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I hope I get the chance to see Lawrence of Arabia as well because I haven't seen it. I am waiting for a big screen to show up with it because
It's worth
for
the
what
wait.
I've seen, for what I've seen, looks great, but I haven't seen it since. The Apartment, on the other hand, is one of those that I saw recently around these holidays as well, and it was an instant 5 stars. I'm just fascinated by that movie. I think everybody's great, acting wise or looks wise or whatever. It's just such a great movie. I gotta go to The Apartment.
Apartment. All right, Jonathan.
Yeah, Lawrence of Arabia, great epic. Nearly 4-hour great epic. I've seen it twice. Yeah, it's an excellent movie with a great performance by Peter O'Toole. But The Apartment, I think that it's one of the rare, great comedies. Now, a little drama, and actually the drama is used very well and perfectly timed, about, associated with someone's depression. But yeah, Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, Fred McMurray, they're all fantastic and they deserve Best Picture for sure. A great Billy Wilder. Lately, he got dethroned by Sunset Boulevard, in my opinion, but The Apartment is definitely second. But so yeah, I'm gonna go The Apartment. I'm actually with The Apartment train there.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, what a great epic Lawrence of Arabia is. I saw it when I was a kid. I've seen it a couple times since I've been an adult, and it's just one of the great epics from David Lean, along with Bridge on the River Kwai. If you do a double feature, put an entire day aside for that. I recommend that. But The Apartment, like Jeremy said and others said, it's such a classic. I mean, like I said earlier, when I find a comedy that I really like, I really want to champion it because there isn't a lot of great comedies out there. And Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, wow, what a great film The Apartment is. I loved it. So I want to move The Apartment forward.
Wow. Yeah, maybe I'll be the lone vote for Lawrence of Arabia here, but I did actually get an opportunity my first time in the theater. Shout out to that 2010s Cinemark Classic Series. They put Lawrence of Arabia on their biggest screen, their XD screen, and I was there. And yeah, a big screen, big sound. That was my first experience with it, and yeah, that definitely helps. Same with 2001. If you see him, if that's your first viewing, it sure does help a lot. And yeah, pretty damn epic experience. So I do like The Apartment. It's a very good movie. I've only seen it once though. I need to go back and watch it again. But I have the Blu-ray over here, so I do own it. I think I have that Criterion. But yeah, I'll go Lawrence of Arabia, but I'll be the lone vote for it. So we got The Apartment. All right, and we're going forward with No Country for Old Men and Seven Samurai is up next. So it's got some bangers in here. Eric.
I hate so much that I haven't seen Seven Samurai. I have it on the Criterion over there, but it's one of those that I don't know how long is it, but I want to keep a proper day to watch it and think about it. So I haven't seen it because of that. But I have for the whole year. I have it on DVD. So I gotta go No Country for Old Men, which is also great. It's not it's a really good movie. Well known.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Jonathan.
It's 3 hours and 37 minutes. But it flies by for me. So, yeah, it's basically your 3-hour Magnificent Seven epic. I think it's an epic. I mean, it's an extraordinarily well-told film about 7 brothers in arms, defending a village. And it's extraordinary. No Country for Old Men was in my 64, the Coen brothers. A great crime film. You know what? I'll give you a little inside scoop. So when I did my top 64, Seven Samurai was my last one to sacrifice. And it was a tough call to sacrifice it. So it gives you a sneak peek as to what will premiere in my 128. Screw it. I'll show Kurosawa some love. Seven Samurai.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, I love the Coen Brothers and No Country for Old Men, a neo-Western, modern-day Western. I think Westerns are really coming back the last few years, last decade or so. They went the way of the dodo bird for a while there, and just as the remakes and some of these other original Westerns and streaming and television has really helped the Western genre. I just saw American Primeval, guys. Wow, is that good? You guys definitely got to see that on Netflix. I love No Country for Old Men. But that being said, Seven Samurai is an absolute masterpiece. It's one of the greatest films of all time. It is just phenomenal in every sense of the word phenomenal, every definition of the word phenomenal. And, you know, we're seeing a bit of the samurai genre coming back with Shogun. And if you haven't seen Shogun, guys, you got to watch Shogun. Shogun is amazing. Seven Samurai, though, is one of the greatest films of all times, bar none. Opinions aside, it's one of the greatest films of all time. Seven Samurai.
Yeah. I think I'll go with Seven Samurai here. I like No Country for Old Men. It's been a minute since I watched it. But yeah, I picked up the 4K. It looks great. The Criterion restoration is excellent. I wish I could see that one in the theater. I've never been able to see that one in the theater, but I'll go a little Seven Samurai here. Why not? Jeremy?
I really appreciated No Country even more after reading the book. I think the book and the film complement each other really well. It's just an incredible adaptation and one of the best Coen Brothers films, which is saying a lot. But Seven Samurai is a top 10 movie for me. There's just, I think Kurosawa is the only filmmaker of the classic era that's like equal to Hitchcock for me. It's like it's those two. Like every single Kurosawa movie that I've ever sat down and watched has blown my mind. Like the guy just had an incredible. If you ever get the time to just watch as many of his films as you can, you'll never be disappointed. And Seven Samurais. It's actually my second favorite Kurosawa film next to Akiru, but it's like probably still kind of his crown jewel because it's such an epic and it just really shows all of his best qualities, the epic filmmaking, the humanity of the characters, and the incredible performances. His two, like iconic actors, Takashi Shimura and of course Toshiro Mifune, are both just give two of their iconic performances in that film. So I will make it a 5, all 5 for Seven Samurai there.
Seven Samurai. Moving on. All right, we got Rain Man and Pale Rider, the Clint Eastwood film. Jonathan.
Yeah. So Pale Rider. Good movie. Good Western. I don't hail it as one of the best Westerns, though. I think it moves at a little slow pace in my mind. And it's a little predictable, but it's kind of metaphorical in a way. It's the preacher representing death knocking on the villain's door, and the villains are ruthless. But I think it's just a little overlong in my mind. Rain Man, it just hits me. It hits me more. It's a really good movie. I was introduced to my dad. I was introduced to this movie by my dad, and I watch it like almost every year or two, and it's a great film with 2 wonderful performances from Hoffman and Cruz. Great early Hans Zimmer score. So I'm going to vote Rain Man here. So yeah, Rain Man. Yeah.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be the outlier here. I'm a massive Westerns fan, as everybody knows in this community. And I love Clint Eastwood Westerns, whether it's the spaghetti Westerns or his ones that he directed or whatever. And one of my favorite among those is Pale Rider. This guy rides into town and it's one of those, I know it's a cliche, you know what I mean? It's a cliche, but his 70s, 80s ones where he's the lone gunman, he rides into the town and whatever. I mean, those are just so good. Outlaw Josie Wales, Hang 'em High, Pale Rider, huh?
High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter. That group are just so damn good. But the the pinnacle for me, though, up before Unforgiven, obviously, you see I got the poster back there, is Pale Rider. So I know I'm the odd man out probably on this, but I'm going to go with Pale Rider just to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like Rain Man, but man, I'm also a big Eastwood westerns guy. I like a lot of the Eastwood westerns. Excuse me. I'm not a big John Wayne guy. Like personally, I prefer the Eastwood stuff. It's a little grittier, a little more violent, and I love the dollar stuff first and foremost. But yeah, even these other ones that did in the '80s are great. So I'll go with the western here. I'll go Pale Rider. Jeremy.
Interesting that people don't really realize that Clint didn't direct very many westerns. I think he only directed 4 of his westerns. I believe it was High Plains Drifter, Outlaw Josie Wales, Pale Rider, and Unforgiven. I don't think he directed any other ones that I can think of. And those are all 4 great. Like they're just spectacular movies, all 4 of them. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're all very different. I think High Plains Drifter and Pale Rider have a little bit in common. He's kind of playing an avenging figure who like doesn't have a name and is kind of a force of nature in both films. But I think Pale Rider even has a little more weight to it. It kind of brings a religious element into it, and it's just got this great moody, muddy like feel to it. It's a really great film. But I'm sorry, Rain Man for me is a really important movie. I saw it in the theater as a kid with my mom, and it's so wonderful. I think that some of its portrayal of autism and that community has dated, but it's, I don't know, just as a movie, as a story of 2 brothers, as a story of a really shitty person like Tom Cruise finding his humanity. It gets me every time. And so I didn't vote for Good Will Hunting, which is kind of like the person, becoming more of a human movie and moving me but I'm giving that vote to Rain Man. And I think it's kind of one of the more underrated Tom Cruise performances. I think he absolutely stands alongside Dustin Hoffman in that film. And he's the character that really has an arc and grows. And yeah, just Barry Levinson in the 80s, incredible. So yeah, it's Rain Man for me. See Pale Rider, though. Great film.
Yeah. Eric, it's on you.
Yeah. Is Jonathan the tiebreaker?
No,
You are.
Oh, I am. It's a tie? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen either, but I'm more excited to see Pale Rider by the description they gave me. Weirdly, it was Jeremy who gotta see Pale Rider, and then he voted for Rain Man. Oh, that's a shame.
Mm-hmm. All right, Pale Rider takes this one. There you go. All right, going down to Blade Runner 2049 is what that is. Got cut off there, but Blade Runner 2049 and Superman the movie, Christopher Reeve. So Dan.
Yeah, I have a friend, a longtime friend in this community who's a major fan of Superman the movie. So I want to shout out my good friend Sandy Robinson, who loves Superman the movie. I just think it's one of the all-time scores, one of the all-time great superhero performances, in my opinion. I still think it holds up to this very day as one of the great superhero movies of all time. Don't worry, I got you. You got me. Who's got you? One of the great quotes of all time in movie history. I mean, great score. I absolutely love Superman the movie so much. Blade Runner 2049 though is, oh my God, one of the most gorgeous films I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, if you go to the different cities and the different landscapes that the movie goes to, they all have a different cinematography to them. Las Vegas looks all sandy and dusty and whatnot, and LA or wherever, California, it's all rainy and dreary and nasty looking, and other places have a different look. I mean, there's a reason why Roger Deakins won the Oscar for best cinematography finally after 17 nominations. I think this movie is phenomenal. It's gonna be one of those movies in history where the further it goes down the line, the more it's going to raise as far as one of the great movies. It didn't win the Oscar for Best Picture that year, but on my list, I think I had it at 4th, behind a couple other ones like Baby Driver, Manchester by the Sea, and something else, I believe. I could be getting my years wrong. I'm not sure. But I think this movie is absolutely phenomenal. I know I'll use the word phenomenal a lot. I think Harrison Ford's fantastic, reprising his role as Kay, I believe. And then Ryan Gosling started to come into his own in roles like this, So I'm going to, sorry, Sandy, I'm going to go with Blade Runner 2049.
I'm not a big fan of the original Blade Runner, but I do like Blade Runner 2049 better. I think what Villeneuve does with that is just a little bit superior in my opinion. But yeah, I'm a little high on the Superman stuff right now because I think Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. That documentary is awesome. Got to see it in theaters. It's great. I recommend it. It's on Max now. If you haven't seen it, very, very good. So I'm a little higher on Superman right now. So I'll go Superman. Jeremy?
Superman is the movie that's closer to my heart of the two. I grew up with it. Christopher Reeve just embodied that role in such an incredible way. Great filmmaking for its time from Richard Donner, the legendary score. I just think as a piece of filmmaking, I just think of Blade Runner 2049 is undeniably superior. I just think visually, tone-wise, it taking the great world of Blade Runner and moving it forward and dealing with some of the themes of what a replicated human would be and what that experience would be in a deeper way is incredible. And I'm a big Ryan Gosling guy. So against my childhood self, I'm actually going to go with Blade Runner 2049 here.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, I'm along with Pez on this one. I'm not a big, I like the original Blade Runner fine. I think the second one is much better. I'm a big Villeneuve fan, but I only seen it once. And Superman, I think I've seen Superman 2 a lot more than I've seen the first one, but I also saw the documentary and I thought it was fantastic. Really holding the tears back on that one, but it was really good. I'll go Superman and to see what happens.
Yeah. All right,
I'm Jonathan. You had to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Yeah. Evil Lex Luthor here. Me. No, Superman's good. It's a good movie. It's a good superhero movie. It started the whole genre up. Inspiring. I'm with y'all on the documentary. I think it's a terrific documentary. I don't know what the documentary branch was thinking. It didn't make the short list.
They never nominate the popular shit ever, which is like the stupidest thing. Roger Ebert talked about that even back in the 90s, that these
Hoop
guys
dreams.
are idiots. The people, with hoop dreams, that they don't nominate. Yeah, if something gets popular, they don't nominate it because that's just, just him and all. It's stupid.
No, but then Will and Harper made it, which is kind of a contradicting, statement there. And that's another popular one. Because that's my favorite documentary so far. It was on my honorable mentions. But anyway, this movie's good. However, 2049 is one of my favorite theatrical experiences in my lifetime. And I was just captivated by every image frame on the screen. It was like looking at numerous paintings for 2.5 hours. And it's just, it was mesmerizing. And also it holds up as a narrative because I was watching it a little bit with my brother. He was watching both the original and 2049 for the first time. He liked 2049 better too. It's a great movie. So unfortunately, Superman, I got to go with Deckard here. So Blade Runner 2049 will get my vote.
And there is a better cut of Blade Runner. If you guys haven't seen that, there's a what's the cut called, Austin? Do you know
the final? There's the final cut that came
there's
out.
A cut of that movie that really makes it much better. The cinematography is better. They lighten it up so you can see it better. They will give you a different perspective on Blade Runner. You guys ever catch that version?
No, I have it on Blu-ray. I
think that's the one I've seen as well.
I'm just still not a big fan of it. It doesn't work for me totally.
No problem.
I give it. I literally give it a shot. Like every 2 years, I give it another shot, and it still hasn't hooked me yet. I'm waiting for that one that gets me.
No problem.
Not yet. Back to the Future and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is what that is. So me, this is a interesting one. Because, again, Back to the Future is like a top 20. We also see it a lot, but for good reason. I think The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is great. Again, I love these westerns. But I kind of like it for the Lee Marvin of it all. I'm a big Lee Marvin fan. I'll champion the Western again. Why not? Man Shot Liberty Valance. We'll see where this goes. Jeremy?
I'm an '80s guy, so I love Back to the Future. It's flawless movie, one of the great screenplays. You teach it in a class. So funny, so enjoyable, great cast all the way through. But you don't need me to tell you that movie's great. I do think you do need me to tell you that Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is not only one of the great westerns, it's one of the great John Ford films. James Stewart, John Wayne together just are incredible. The way that they play off of each other's kind of personas, like James Stewart is like the guy, the pacifist guy who's trying to do the right thing. John Wayne is like, doesn't really work that way out here. You got to get violent. You got to get dirty sometimes. And the way that those two ideologies clash is so important. And it has one of the all-time great lines. If the legend becomes more important than becomes bigger than the reality, print the legend. And that's really kind of the theme of the whole movie. And unlike most Westerns, it has a great, almost Shyamalan level twist at the end, which I think people don't realize. And it's just incredible. Also, Vera Miles, wonderful in that film, and Lee Marvin, a great villain. So, yeah, I'm gonna champion the Western here too. And although I will always prefer Clint Eastwood Westerns to John Wayne ones as well, this is one of the really great John Wayne ones, and there are some. So I will go with that.
Yeah. All right, Eric.
Yeah, everything I know about the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is about The Simpsons. they sing the song once. I've seen The Searchers. I think that's the only John Wayne movie I've seen. I gotta see more. Searchers pretty good. Back to the Future. What else is to say? I'll vote for it. Why not?
Yeah, sure. Jonathan?
Yes. So, Back to the Future, a top 10er for me, all-timer. But, yeah, I'm going to champion The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I think it's one of the real fine Westerns. It's a very interesting, pensive reflection of the Old West. James Stewart and John Wayne, even though Wayne does his usual shtick, they work well together. But y'all said it. Lee Marvin steals the movie as the notorious villain. So yeah, you know what? I'll go with y'all on Liberty Valance.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with Jeremy. I'm a child of the 80s, 70s, and 80s, and I love the 80s. Really had so many great pop culture films, and Back to the Future was one of those. And it was a different decade for filmmaking. I'll have to say, not a lot of decades can compare with the 80s, and it stands alone in a decade that's very different than every other decade, And but I'm with you guys. I mean, I'm the Westerns guy. I love Westerns, and this has got two of the great Western stars or actors of its time, Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne. And like you guys said, Lee Marvin is the villain. And I mean, when you find a great Western, it can be some of the great films of all time if you get the right ones, And I think The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is one of them.
All right, Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. We'll pull the upset here. There you go. All right, moving down to Star Wars, OG, and City of God. All right, down to Jeremy.
Okay.
I've seen. It's been about. When did City of God come out? I haven't seen it since it came out.
2002.
Yeah, so over 20 years now. I still remember it. It's a really memorable, great incendiary film about gang life with teenagers in Brazil. And Fernando Mirella is a really underrated director. He did some really great films. I remember really being moved and I still remember seeing that film, but it isn't totally fresh in my mind other than just some of the visceral elements of it. But Star Wars is just a landmark movie that changed my life and many other people's. I think it's still in that franchise that has become so contentious and people argue about it, and I hate this and I love that, and it's become just almost like a political divide in Star Wars. I think that you can always go back to A New Hope and Empire, and those movies will always hold up and just be important. And really evoke the spirit of wonder and imagination and childhood. And yeah, so I'm gonna go with Star Wars. Maybe if I had seen City of God again, if I rewatched it more recently, maybe I might pull the upset on this. But like I said, it's been over 20 years, and Star Wars is an evergreen movie that I always return to. So I will go with A New Hope.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I wish I had seen City of God. I'm really looking forward to watching it. I think I'm really gonna like it. Star Wars. I recently saw, well, not that recently, like 2 years ago. Saw the cut without the special effects, the special edition stuff, and
Mhm.
really hold up. I think it's obviously a great movie, the top 64 of almost everyone, every movie watcher ever, I guess. Such a fantastic movie, such great stuff. What I don't have to add anything more. Star Wars.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, Star Wars is great. It's a great movie. Definitely one of the top 3 Star Wars films for me. Loved it. But I want to champion City of God. It's a sprawling, breathtaking movie about a kid who desires to be a photographer, and in a world where it's riddled by crime in Brazil, right? It's basically your Goodfellas. It's Goodfellas, and it's a very poetic and some brutal viewpoint about this world. And I mean, there is a scene in the movie that felt realistic where the gang has to confront these 2 kids, and he shoots one in the arm and the other one in the foot, and it looks realistic. Fantastic acting by those children. And yeah, I don't want to spoil what happens in the end, but so I know Star Wars is great, but I want to give my love to City of God. I think this was my choice as the best movie of 2002. So City of God will get my vote.
All right, sure. Dan.
Yeah, I I don't have a lot of foreign films on my list, but when I really like a foreign film, you see that I like to champion it. And I think one of the best ones in recent memory that I've seen is City of God. I mean, it does things with subtitles. It does things with camera work. It does things with story, pacing, all those things. You rarely see anymore. And it's so fast paced. So much is going on, and it just keeps moving and moving and moving. You really have to pay attention to what you're watching. And spoiler alert, there is a sequel streaming show on Max right now. You can watch it if you want to watch City of God show on Max. It's a sequel streaming show. I'm going to go, but Star Wars is like my childhood, 1977. I was 3 years old. I didn't see it when it came out. I saw it about 3 years later when I was about 6. And it's one of the most influential movies in my life as far as making me a film critic. And obviously people like Roger Ebert, he loves it. George Lucas was, inspired by so many other great filmmakers and some of the stuff he did with Star Wars. So I'm going to go with Star Wars.
Yeah, I got to go Star Wars by default. I have not gotten the City of God yet, but I'm going to. I just bought it on Vudu, so I'll get around to it because I'll put it on there and then I'll see it when I'm looking for something fresh to watch. I buy these things on Vudu and then I'll pop it in at some point this year. So, but I got to do Star Wars. I mean, I may or may not own a trilogy of Blu-ray despecialized versions of Star Wars that I about to watch. Yes, the despecialized versions. So yeah. Star Wars goes on. We go down to the Deer Hunter and Amadeus. Eric.
Yeah, once again, I'm embarrassed by saying I haven't seen either of these movies. I've heard great things. I've seen clips here and there. I'll go Amadeus because I like the scene where Adam Sandler sings the song Amadeus from in what's the name of that movie? The one with the dreams.
Bedtime Stories.
That's the one. I'll go Amadeus. Why not?
All right, Jonathan.
Amadeus. Yeah, it pains me to say this, but I have not seen The Deer Hunter. Yeah, I know it's a Best Picture blind spot, and it's also a De Niro and Meryl blind spot, and John Cazale. So, I'll get to it when I get to it. I know it's a long movie, but I'll get to it. Amadeus, one of my all-time favorites. It's a great movie about the creation of music, the joy of creativity, and F. Murray Abraham and Tom Hulce do a phenomenal job with their performances as both Salieri and Amadeus, respectively. With that annoying laugh. But also, Amadeus, doing the operas as well. I mean, it's like you're there in that concert hall. So Amadeus gets my vote.
All right. Dan.
Yeah, I mean, as a 70s guy, I just have a thing about like friends who get together. They have like gatherings for weddings, and they go out hunting and stuff. Buddies go out hunting. They give each other crap. Oh, you forgot your boots. You ain't gonna borrow my second pair. And just the weddings and the drinking in the small town steel area of Pennsylvania and stuff. The movie is so relatable to me, to what you would think that people would be like back then. And then these guys go off to Vietnam and they're forever changed. You know what I mean? And De Niro, Cazale, what's it? Come on.
Christopher
Walken. Oh my God. Meryl Streep in a role very, like, I think almost the same, like, year apart from Kramer versus Kramer. The Deer Hunter was 77 and Kramer versus Kramer was 78, I think. I'm not sure, maybe. But it just, to me, it's like that slice of life movie that turns into something more, a transcendent, like, poignant story about family and friends and tragedy with war and what war does. Amadeus, though, was one of the great musical biopics of all time. And I mean, Salieri as the villain. Oh my God. F. Murray Abraham. Oh, one of the great villains of all time. Sleazy, but I got to go with the Deer Hunter.
Careful, John. He killed Mozart. He said they killed Mozart. Who? Zart. I killed a lot of guys. I can't remember who it is. No, just a little last action hero reference there for F. Murray Abraham. But no, I still have never seen Amadeus. I have the Blu-ray sitting there next to me. I'm gonna pop it in this year, I swear, at some point and get around to it. I've seen the Deer Hunter. It's man, that first half is a bit of a slog for me. It just takes kind of forever to get there. When it finally gets to the Vietnam stuff, I think it's great and really, really good. I don't know what to do here because I'm a big mixed on the Deer Hunter. I'll go Amadeus because maybe we'll give you some motivation to watch it. Jeremy.
The Deer Hunter is a movie that I certainly respect. It's not one of those 70 films that I love and return to that much. I think that it kind of falls a little into the misery porn a little bit, where it's so miserable that without having enough of the larger human experience to kind of even out just the fact that these guys are just destroyed. I don't know, something about it is missing for me. I respect it. Christopher Walken is absolutely incredible in it. De Niro is great, but I don't know. It isn't the most accurate to the Vietnam experience. Like Michael Cimino was kind of making some stuff up there, so it's not one of my favorites of that genre, of that period. Amadeus is a top 10 movie for me. That movie is absolute perfection. It's my whole life been one of my favorites. I think F. Murray Abraham's performance is a top 5 for me. Salieri in that film is just an unforgettable character. But Thomas Hulce as this shallow, immature kid who just happens to be one of the greatest geniuses who ever lived, creating some of the greatest art is just such a great contradiction there, and yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, we've got I think 2 guys here who haven't seen it. You guys, it's not homework. Trust me, that movie is not homework.
No, I know.
It is absolutely exciting and entertaining and great, and it will make you appreciate classical music in a way that maybe you haven't before because it's so much incredible.
I will get to it, Jeremy, but I'll have to get over.
I'm giving you
No.
with excitement. It's
no. I understand,
I'm excited for you.
I'll have to get over the fact when I watch it that I'm watching Larry Kroger from Animal House play Amadeus, but that's going to be a little distracting for me.
The only thing I will say is that it's hard to find the theatrical cut. Like a lot of what's out there.
Yeah, everything I have is the director's cut.
And I don't like the director's cut as much. I think the theatrical cut is much superior. So if you can find it, I prefer the theatrical.
Yeah.
Well, just real quick, guys. In the next couple of weeks, I believe, like 2 weeks, Amadeus will be coming out on 4K. Maybe they have multiple cuts.
Okay.
We'll see. All right. Amadeus moves on. We got The New World and Beauty and the Beast. So Jonathan.
Interesting. Yeah, The New World. The Pocahontas story and Beauty and the Beast, the Belle story. Okay. Not Disney related. But The New World, it's beautiful to look at. I haven't seen it in a while. I've only seen it one time. It's pretty, like most Malick movies. It is not as droll as his later films. It's great, but Beauty and the Beast is an animated creation that is just magical in my eyes, and all the songs are great, all the characters are well drawn, and it's a fairy tale that is complicated than it seems. So I'm gonna vote Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. All right, Dan.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm not the biggest Malick fan, but he does have a few movies that are really, really, really good, and I think one of them is The New World. I mean, it really gives you a perspective about the Pocahontas and John Smith and all this kind of stuff in a great translation of that story, the production design and all that kind of stuff. But like Beauty and the Beast, I've said before, when I find an animated movie that I love, I absolutely love, I do champion great animation. I'm not the biggest animation guy, but Beauty and the Beast is just phenomenal. I mean, it's the songs, like Jonathan said. I mean, it's beautiful to look at. And that 90s run of Disney animation, they were just on a roll in the 90s with all of their movies, so many of them. But one of their best ones was, and it might be 89 if I'm not, I don't know if it's 89 or 90.
No, 91.
91, okay. All right. Because I know one of them was 89. I can't remember.
Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. I just say the 90s because it's
yeah.
It basically was because it came out at like Christmas of 89 and then spilled over mostly into 1990. So yeah.
So, but I'm gonna go with Beauty and the Beast, even though I think you guys should check out The New World if you haven't. It's one of Malick's better ones.
Yeah, New World's another blind spot, but only because I'm not a big Malick guy. But I do like the cast. So the cast looks good, and I'm sure it looks beautiful. So maybe I'll get around to it at some point. Put it on the list. But Beauty and the Beast is my favorite of those '90s Renaissance ones. I just think it's pretty perfect in everything he does. So I'll go Beauty and the Beast. Jeremy.
Yeah, I actually would champion The New World. I think it's an incredible movie. I'm hearing that there's supposedly a great director's cut that is being played theatrically, and I'm dying to see that. Like, I would love to see that on the big screen. I think that would be, like, transformative. And I'm not always the biggest Malick guy either. Sorry, I don't love The Tree of Life, but New World, it really transports you back to that time period, and it's just a really important part of American history, and I love the movie. But Dan put a Disney movie on here, and that's a coup. So I've got to go for the Disney. Dan, you put a Disney movie on here, I'm voting for it. And I love Beauty and the Beast. So.
All right. There you go. Eric?
Yeah, this is the second time in a row I've been on tournament fights, and the New World is on, which is kind of odd. It happened again. I think I've seen it, half of it a while ago. It looked pretty boring, but I was also 8 years old, so I didn't finish it. Beauty and the Beast I also saw when I was 8 years old, and I've seen it since a couple more times. I recently saw the Howard Ashman documentary. It's on Disney Plus.
Great.
It's really good. It really gives you an appreciation of this movie and The Little Mermaid, especially. So yeah, The Beauty and the Beast is really special. It's just pretty much as perfect as a Disney movie comes. So yeah, Beauty and the Beast.
All right, Beauty and the Beast. We'll take this one. All right, going down to Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man 2. Got a little comic matchup here. Yeah, that's how it laid out. That's tournament fights for you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I've got hundreds of thousands of comic books. I've read all kinds of Spider-Man comics. I read the Infinity Gauntlet back in the early 90s when it came out, and I thought to myself, how they would never turn the Infinity Gauntlet into movies. 30 years later, 20 almost 30 years later, we actually got the Infinity Gauntlet as a movie, and it had a second part to it because the second part had to figure out how do the good guys win. And I love the fact that Infinity Gauntlet, the bad guy wins. Thanos wins. Spoiler. But the way that I love when what's his name escapes the time thing, Ant-Man, and they drives up there. Hello. Those Ant-Man scenes are funny. He's got some great banter in there. It's just the scenes with Robert Downey Jr. and what's her face in the spaceship, Gamora. I love that stuff. They're playing football with some of this stuff is really down to earth and human in this galactic kind of story, this time travel story. And it's so heartbreaking at times and so fun at times. And it's just crazy wild with the special effects and stuff. Spider-Man 2 though is really, really good, and I love the relationship between Peter and Mary Jane. But I gotta go with Endgame.
Yeah, I'm in the Infinity War over Endgame camp. I just kind of always have been. I have my issues with the middle part of Endgame. I think the first 30 minutes is great. The last 30 minutes is great. And I have a lot of problems with the middle. Just doesn't get me as well. But it just doesn't hold up for me over repeat viewings. Spider-Man 2 does. And I think it's one of the great superhero movies ever made. And come on, we get a nice little Sam Raimi mini horror movie in the middle of that movie in the hospital scene. So it's great. So good. But yeah, I'll go Spider-Man 2. Jeremy?
It's tough. I think these are two of the best comic book films. The only kind of where I'm splitting the difference on them is Avengers Endgame is an incredible end to, the Infinity Saga, all of the Marvel films that came before. But I just think if you watch it on its own, as its own movie, you can't appreciate it without seeing many of those other films. Whereas Spider-Man 2, I think, is just a great superhero story that stands alone. You can watch it on its own, you can appreciate it, and it's so true to the spirit of who Peter Parker is as a character. I think, maybe that and No Way Home, I think, are the most true to his character, just as what he represents and how tormented he is as a kid who's just trying to be a superhero and also be a kid and also have a life. And that's what Spider-Man is at its core. So I'm going to go Spider-Man 2, not taking anything away from the achievement of Endgame, but just looking at them as singular movies. I think as a movie, that movie works a little better and stands alone for me.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, this one's also pretty easy for me. Endgame I really enjoyed, but I haven't seen it since it came out in theaters. I'm afraid it won't hold up as much without the amazing crowd getting excited. So that's why I haven't seen it again. But Spider-Man 2 actually won my top 64 when we did it here in Tournament Fights. I did see it the very same week later again after how many times. Such a special film. I could see it again and again. Alfred Molina is just fantastic as this tormented, conflicted monster, but he loses control, but that he really out of the. I mean, it's the Green Goblin doesn't redeem himself, so it doesn't count. I think the Sandman does, but whatever. Great redemption arc for him. Such a great movie. So yeah, Spider-Man 2.
All right, Spider-Man 2. And then Jonathan?
You know, I was getting worried that I was going to be the tiebreaker. Oh yeah. Woo. They're both great movies on their own. Yeah, I show up a lot, you know, and Spider-Man 2 gets brought up a lot. And Spider-Man 2 is a great movie. Yeah, one of the best superhero films for sure. It's definitely one of the best superhero sequels. A lot of conflicts going around. Yeah, I think Doc Ock is one of the most interesting villains put to film. Endgame, great movie, the culmination of the whole Infinity Saga, and it's a reminder of how good they were right now, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we got like No Way Home and Guardians 3, and
Not
I like
a lot
some,
else.
huh?
Not a lot else.
Wakanda Forever, some of it.
Yeah, there's good pieces.
That's sad. I would have gone Endgame, but it's fine. Superman 2 will go on because I love that movie too.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2. Oh yeah. All right, now going to The Godfather and Rocky.
Oh no, come on.
Battle of 72 versus 76.
Why would you do
Best
this?
Picture winners. Oh.
Yeah, Best Picture winners. Me, oh god, yeah, this is Sophie's choice right here. Because I get obsessed with The Godfather every couple of years and watch it over and over again. Just showed it to my girlfriend again for the first time. She had never seen Godfather 2, so that was a great weekend. We watched both of them. Yeah, great stuff, and they hold up. She loved it. Man, Rocky's just so good too, and it doesn't seem to get very far in these tournaments. So you know what? I'm gonna throw a little love to the OG Rocky in this one. So I'm gonna give it to that just for now. Jeremy?
Two of my favorite films ever, both in my top 10 probably.
Yeah, and it's also Talia Shire versus Talia Shire.
Yeah, great Talia Shire.
That's right.
Absolutely. Where I'm splitting hairs on this one is Godfather 2 is my favorite Godfather film, and Rocky is my favorite Rocky film. So I'm gonna go with Rocky.
All right. And Eric.
Yeah, much like every middle schooler discovering film, I just became obsessed with The Godfather as well. Middle school, beginning of high school. I love those. I actually prefer the first one over the second one. I see it more often. It's just, it always gets better and better. I had the screenplay right here, the script. Bought it once on the store. It has all three movies and a special edition DVD. I haven't read it actually. I once I tried to watch the movie while at the same time reading it, but I got too distracted. The movie is just that good. Rocky, I wasn't a sports guy growing up, so I wasn't eager to watch it. But once I saw it, I see what everybody sees, and Rocky is such a fantastic story. Bought a sweater with the Rocky stuff over there just to motivate myself to work out. So Rocky is motivational, but I gotta go Godfather.
All right, Jonathan.
I'll put it simple. Rocky is great. It's a great sports movie. And The Godfather is my favorite movie of all time.
Wow.
So I'm gonna go The Godfather. So Dan, I think I know where Dan is going with this. You get the tiebreaker, Dan.
Finally happened to you, Dan. After all of us have had to suffer.
Finally all right, on you, Dan. Buddy. Yeah, it's on you.
Well, on Monday, I had a different backdrop on Monday, and one of the backdrop was a poster of The Godfather.
Oh, never mind.
I changed my backdrop for this. I didn't want to have the same backdrop.
Oh boy,
the first two episodes. Rocky is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's like in my top 10 films of all time. Sylvester Stallone is perfect. So much about this movie is perfect. It's an underdog story. But that being said, my number 2 movie of all time is The Godfather. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. He's petting that cat. What an ad lib that was. The cat just happens to be on the set. He gets the cat and starts stroking the cat. I could have said a different word, but I'll choose not to. This is a PG broadcast, Austin. I won't use that other word. Marlon Brando, Al Pacino. How did Al Pacino not win Best Actor for playing Michael Corleone? I'll never know.
Because Marlon Brando.
Well, it's one of the all-time great highway robberies.
Okay.
I mean, he could have won for Godfather 2. I mean,
Yeah,
also
74.
Also,
He
Jack,
did
Jack
win.
Nicholson in
He
Chinatown.
didn't.
That
No,
year.
he didn't.
No, it was Art Carney.
Art Carney.
Art
yeah.
Carney and Harry and Tonto won over Nicholson, Hoffman, Pacino.
Mhm.
I mean, are you kidding me? Art
Hackman in the
Carney.
conversation. too.
Because hey, what are you talking about? You don't mean everybody's still talking about Harry and Tonto?
Oh,
No?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got
Oh,
the Godfather. I got the Godfather.
okay. All right. The Godfather wins. All right.
And real
all
quick, real quick. I've been in 2 mystery tournaments with Austin over the last, I don't know how many months. And it's A or B. You don't see what's in the mystery tournament. And you
Right.
pick A or B. And I picked the opposite. And both times Rocky got eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
So that's what when Austin talks about.
Rocky's had a tough break, on tournament fights,
Yeah.
All right, got the conversation and Raging Bull.
So Coppola, another and versus another boxing movie. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, another
there we
Coppola,
go.
another boxing. Yeah. All right, Jeremy.
I went against Coppola last time and for the boxing movie last time. So now I'm going to reverse it and I'm going to go with the conversation. I think this movie is an underrated, incredible Coppola film, an absolute perfect representation of paranoia and the paranoia thriller of the 70s. And Gene Hackman's performance is just one for the ages. Obviously, Robert De Niro in Raging Bull is a performance for the ages too, and that's an incredible biopic. It's just, as much as I respect it and appreciate Raging Bull, it's a tough watch, man. He's such a bastard. Jake LaMotta is just such a bad dude, and you got to kind of psych yourself up to be able to take that film on and be in that headspace. Whereas the conversation, I can just always return to the paranoia and everything that Gene Hackman's going through in that film. And I just, Coppola, man, when he's great, he's great. I wish he could, return to that, but yeah, at least we got it in the 70s and a little bit in the 80s with him, because when Coppola's at his best, there's nothing that equals it for me. So conversation.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of Jeremy, because last time I voted for the Coppola movie against the boxing movie, and now I'm doing the opposite. I'm voting for Raging Bull. I saw it recently for a debate. I had seen it before, but it had been a while because it was a question about the best sports movie and something else in the question. And I immediately went Raging Bull, best whatever. And I just love how the boxing scenes are shot in that movie. It's not realistic at all. Like as Tato put it in that debate, like those are cum shots of the blood getting poured on the judges. Sorry, I didn't make it PG.
Yeah,
but that's the expression he used.
Congratulations.
Yeah, sorry, pass. But it's just such a fantastic movie, and that's the Scorsese movie I'm voting. I also voted against Scorsese. Well, I did vote for Scorsese, but it was because I didn't have any option. But yeah, Raging Bull.
You're the only one that doesn't have Godfather as one of your favorite movies of Jordan of all time. You're literally the only one. You're the only one, dude. I'm sorry. I know.
Sometimes it's opinion, sometimes it's a fact.
It's a fact. It just is one of the greatest movies of all time. It just is.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan.
Yes, Jordan. That's all. That's all I have to say. I'll just say it nicely. Anyway, so no, Jeremy's right. The Conversation is underrated Coppola. I watched it last year, or rewatched it last year, and I know it's a slow burn, but it's a very interesting movie that hooks you with his journey up until the very suspenseful final scene. And I like the way how Coppola ends the movie, and kind of ambiguously. And I'm not going to give away what happens in case not many people have seen it, because it is underrated. And I think we'll talk about it coming soon, right, Austin? And more about the Conversation, about Coppola. I think there's a Coppola tournament coming up. So I'll leave more at that for later on. Raging Bull is a great movie for me, great Scorsese movie. It's a masterpiece in my mind. And Robert De Niro gives one of the all-time greatest performances in cinema as Jake LaMotta. And look, Jake LaMotta is unlikable. Yes, he was an unlikable person. I mean, yeah, and like history says, he was much worse. in real life than he was in the movie. So that's very disturbing. But in terms of movies, I think Raging Bull is a great movie. And the conversation is close to great, but it's really, really good. I definitely recommend it. So Raging Bull gets my vote.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, we got my top three Scorsese on Monday night's show, and we got my number one Scorsese on tonight's show, and that is Raging Bull. Robert De Niro gives the performance of his lifetime as this despicable human being who just beats up his brother and does all kinds of crazy stuff. But it's the tormented, dark person, and this guy that has this violent nature to him, and he's this like absolute raging bull in the ring, and I just feel like it reminded me a lot of my own father growing up. This guy reminded me of my father. He was very similar to this guy growing up when I was a kid, and this movie really resonated with me on that level. And so it's my number one Scorsese film of all time. I think it's my number one De Niro movie of all time. And, it's hard sometimes judging movies and stuff, but it's all about how they resonate with a certain person. And I know this doesn't resonate with a lot of people, but it's been my favorite Scorsese and De Niro picture for a long, long, long time, since I saw it in 1980. And I think it's a tragedy that Scorsese didn't win Best Director and it didn't win Best Picture in 1980. Ended up losing to Ordinary People. I know Jeremy's going to balk at that, but I think it was highway robbery.
I agree that it was robbery. I still like Ordinary People, but
okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'll go Raging Bull here. I did watch the conversation for the first time about a year or two ago, and it is very, very good. Coppola was unbeatable in the 70s, that's for sure. Hell of a run. Raging Bull, I rewatched that again very recently because I picked up the Criterion 4K. That movie looks amazing, by the way. 4K, it looks awesome. It was a hell of a rewatch. That movie, I think I appreciated it more than when the first time I watched it back when I was 17 or 18. Scorsese's not afraid to put you in the shoes of really scummy people and just go all in on their lives, and he's not afraid to do that. That's the point of the movie, is that these people are scum, and he's going to put you right there with it and show you that. And it's hard to say that, when Jake LaMotta said the movie was not as bad as real life, that's hard to believe, but it's true. Apparently he's like, you went soft on me. But I'll go Raging Bull here.
And one thing I forgot to say, I wanted people just remember this, guy. There's a movie called Enemy of the State that came out in the 90s. I recommend watching The Conversation and Enemy of the State together, back to back, as a double feature. And tell me you don't think the Gene Hackman character is the same character.
The same character. Yeah, no, that's
he
a
is.
fan theory. Yeah, he is.
That's
he changed his identity, he changed his name, he went underground.
That's a theory
I
have.
have. And he's still obsessed with surveillance and everything. Yeah, of course. That's the same thing. All right, we've got Scarface and Brothers, and this is the last one until we get to the speed round. So there we go. So we're almost there. Let's wrap it up, and we'll get to the speed round. Eric, you're up first.
Yeah, I love somebody talking in a Hispanic accent, so gotta go Scarface. Pretty easy for me.
All right, Jonathan.
Okay. Brothers. I've only seen it one time. It's kind of depressing for me. It's kind of hard to watch at times, and it's not one I want to go back to watch again. Even though that Tobey Maguire gives a great performance. He's fantastic in this movie. Without him, this movie would not have worked as well. I'll be quite honest. So I think it's just a good movie. But I had to pull off this Latino accent, Tony Montana. I don't know if it was believable or not, but I sure pulled it off with that X rating back in the 80s right there. Ha! It was awesome using that machine gun and eating, sucking, forking, all that shit. And snorting coke throughout all that movie. Ha! Well, you know what?
I'm not that crazy about that movie, but I'll vote for Scarface. Yeah, it was great working with Oliver Stone and Brian De Palma there. Ha, Scarface.
All right, Dan.
That's a good Al Pacino impersonation.
I got to be honest. I tried to do it with Tony Montana. It's very difficult.
That was decent, though. That was a decent impersonation. I don't see a lot of good Al Pacinos. That was a good one. Look, I am a massive Al Pacino. He's my second favorite actor of all time. Scarface is a phenomenal film. I love it. Another F. Murray Abraham. It's got Michelle Pfeiffer in there. We're getting a remake pretty soon. Any day now, we're going to get a remake.
They've been talking about that movie for like 10 years, dude. I don't know if it's
Jack
gonna
Houston.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be
yeah, but it's like I put it in the Crow category. Like I'll
believe it
when
when
I see it. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. But that, I mean, part of why I want to do this and why I like doing these things is to champion movies I know a lot of people don't talk about. And one of them is like it got lost in the shuffle and in 2008, 2009, that era with Avatar and all that kind of stuff. And a movie that is so difficult to watch, but it's so good is Brothers. I mean, Tobey Maguire becomes a POW, prisoner of war, but they think he's dead. His best friend gets with his wife. Then he gets rescued and he comes back and he finds out, and it's just this difficult subject matter and about the Iraq war and all this stuff. We don't get a lot of great. We've got The Hurt Locker, and that came out the same year. The Hurt Locker and Brothers came out the same year. I believe this is the better movie about the Iraq war or the Afghan war or whatever, those Middle Eastern wars. Because I think it's a more grounded, realistic movie about something that could really happen. And Jake Gyllenhaal, Natalie Portman, and Tobey Maguire are phenomenal in this movie. So I really want to champion Brothers. And I know a lot of people probably haven't seen it. But
yeah, I've seen Brothers once. I think I rented it from somewhere, and it's very, very good. But yeah, I think Scarface is great. I that's another one I showed my girlfriend very recently, so it's fresh on my mind as well. Yeah, she thought it was very entertaining. She wanted to watch it, and it's very entertaining. It's very good. And if anything, it was the inspiration for Scott Hall to create Razor Ramon. So there you go. I'll go with Scarface. Jeremy.
Yeah, Dan and I have gone at it a little over Brothers before. I know Dan really loves this movie. I think it's fine. It's really good acting, great performances. Natalie Portman's excellent in that film. Tobey Maguire, Jake Gyllenhaal. But it just, I don't know. It's like, fine. I like it. It's a good film about PTSD and about families torn apart by the experience of the war. But I feel like there's a lot of other great ones that I kind of think of before I remember Brothers. And I love Jim Sheridan, so it's kind of, I wish I liked it more than I did. I love a lot of his films, like In America. Like, if you haven't seen that, incredible film. Yeah, check out Jim Sheridan, great filmmaker. But yeah, I any day I would pick Scarface over it. I think Scarface is one of the primo, like, excessive 80s. Let's throw all of the 80s we can on top of all the other 80s and inject it into 3 hours and as much as you can. And just the excessiveness in the performances of Al Pacino, F. Murray Abraham again, Michelle Pfeiffer, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. It's just, it's so great. It's just that Brian De Palma at his best there. And yeah, I know it's not to all tastes, but it is definitely to mine. So I'm going with Scarface.
Yeah, and by the way, I just looked it up. That Scarface remake is dead. It's dead in the water.
Okay.
Luca Guadagnino and Diego Luna both confirmed that it's dead. there's articles.
Guadagnino?
It was supposed to be Luca Guadagnino directing Diego Luna, and it's dead. So it's just not happening. They've all moved on to different projects, so not happening. All right, so Scarface moves on, and that is it. So let's hit this speed round and wrap it up and see what wins part 2.
But first, you gotta get speed. Demon speed. Speed's what we need. We need greasy, fast speed.
All right, yes, we do. All right, so we're going to speed it up here. Votes only 10 seconds or less. Let's hit it. And the winners of all these matchups right here will move on to Friday's half bracket for Dan. So keep that in mind. So we got Kill Bill Volume 1 versus Aliens. Jonathan.
Aliens.
Dan.
Kill Bill Volume 1.
All right. Aliens. Jeremy.
Aliens.
And Eric.
Aliens.
All right, so Aliens moves on. And I'm just give me a second. I'm writing these down as well in my note app here to join the other 16. All right, so I can make that bracket. Chinatown versus Schindler's List. Dan.
Schindler's List.
Go Schindler's List. Jeremy.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Eric.
I don't want to look like that asshole. Chinatown.
No, you're not an
Okay.
asshole. It's a great movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Jonathan.
Schindler's List is important.
They're both great movies. Look, they're both important for different reasons. Let's just put it that way. Schindler's List.
All right, Schindler's List is moving on. All right, going down to North by Northwest and Inglourious Bastards. Me, you know what? No, I'll go North by Northwest. Jeremy?
North by Northwest.
Okay. Eric?
Inglourious Bastards.
Okay. Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll champion Hitchcock. North by Northwest.
Northwest and Dan.
North by Northwest.
Yeah.
North by Northwest. All right, a little Hitchcock moving forward to Friday. All right. Gonna give me just a second to write these down. All right. Going to Jurassic Park versus Apocalypse Now. Jeremy.
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. All right. Eric.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now. Jurassic Park wins often.
All right. Yeah, and Jonathan?
Yeah, Apocalypse Now.
Okay. Dan?
Apocalypse Now.
You know what? I'll make it a clean sweep because Jurassic Park is a 4-time tournament fights winner, so it'll be fine. We'll see it again many more times. So I'll go Apocalypse Now. All right. And I wore my I could have worn a Jurassic Park shirt, but I wore an Apocalypse Now shirt. So I'll take it. All right. Going down to Hugo and Psycho. Battle of the O's at the end. Eric.
Psycho.
Okay. Jonathan.
Yeah, Hugo's underrated, but I gotta go Psycho.
Okay. Dan.
Psycho.
Keep it going with Psycho. Jeremy.
Psycho.
Mm-hmm. All right, clean sweep for Psycho into the 16. All right, going down to Wolfman and Pulp Fiction. Jonathan.
We're on a classic run here. You know what? I love Pulp Fiction, but I'll go the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dan.
Wolfman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep the classics going here. Let's go a little Wolfman for a little something different. Why not, Jeremy?
I would have easily gone Pulp Fiction, but I like the bold moves.
Okay, and Eric.
Yeah, I thought it was an easy one too. Pulp Fiction.
Well, you never know. Tournament fights can surprise you sometimes. All right, so the Wolfman. All right, let me write that one down.
I love Pulp Fiction. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome.
That's fair. That's fine.
Yeah. No, it's great. Predator and Jaws. Man.
Oh man.
Jaws.
Man, this is a tricky one. You know what? Just forget something a little different. Let's go Predator. Why not? I love them both though. I won't mind either one. Jeremy.
Jaws.
Okay, Eric.
Jaws.
Oh,
no, it's fine. Jonathan.
Put it on the record. We all voted Jaws except Austin.
Yeah, I know. I just sometimes we see Jaws a lot, so and I love it. I just I love Predator.
Austin's just he's admitting he's a predator. That's all.
I'm a predator.
Whoa. Okay.
Jaws.
When I see Austin in person, I need a couple other people around.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. T2 and Oppenheimer. Me. Ooh. Again, I love T2. We just don't see Oppenheimer a lot, so I'll go Oppenheimer. Jeremy?
It hurts that Oppenheimer.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, we already gave one to Cameron. Oppenheimer.
Okay. Jonathan?
Is Jordan on Friday?
Yeah, he'll be back. We'll all be
Okay.
back for Friday.
Well,
Yes.
sorry to him, Oppenheimer.
Okay. Yeah, guys talking in rooms what he's not a fan of.
I don't get
Dan.
that criticism at all, but okay.
Yeah, no, me neither. Because I think 12 Angry Men's got guys talking in one room the entire movie, and it's
Like
thrilling.
98% of movies is talking in rooms. So
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't get that. Anyways, but Dan.
Yeah, I would have went with T2, but hey,
Okay.
I'm glad you guys picked up on that.
All right, well, there you go. Oppenheimer. All right, let's jump to the other side, see what else joins it on Friday. We got a nice mix of stuff here so far. Let's go to, we got Fargo versus On the Waterfront. Jeremy.
On the waterfront.
On the Waterfront. Eric.
Fargo.
Fargo. Jonathan.
yeah, Fargo.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go with Fargo.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Fargo also. So Fargo. It's going to move on. All right. But so far, I don't have any blind spots on your Friday show, Dan. So we're looking good so far. We'll see if I do. Otherwise, I'll try to watch something. The Fugitive, 12 Angry Men, Eric.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men.
Okay. Jonathan.
12 Angry Men.
Okay. Dan.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah, I'll keep it going with 12 Angry Men. Jeremy.
Those 12 angry guys.
12 Angry Gents. That's right. I need to watch that remake that William Friedkin did. I need to check that out.
Do you have the Kino? Do you have the Kino?
No, I have the Criterion. I don't have the Kino one. So yeah, I know the Kino one has it as a special feature. Yeah. I need to watch it though.
The Friedkin one's okay.
Yeah, I just want to see it for the cast. You know, it's great cast.
Great
Lemon's great. George C. Scott's great. Some of the other performances.
George C. Scott, that casting is perfect because the dude in the original one looks exactly like George C. Scott.
Yeah,
so it's kind of scary.
And they played the same character in The Exorcist.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's like a dead ringer for George C. Scott. I thought it was him at first when I rewatched it. I was like, what?
Some of the other performances, like Tony Danza and stuff, not so much.
Right. Yeah, Tony. All right. Apartment and Seven Samurai. Tricky one here, Jonathan.
Kurosawa, Seven Samurai.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, Seven Samurai.
Yeah, I'll go Seven Samurai. And by the way, watch 13 Assassins as well. Kind of a tribute to more modern Seven Samurai. But Jeremy.
Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai. All right, and Eric.
I'll give my lone boat to the apartment.
Okay. All right.
That breaks my heart.
Seven Samurai. Okay. Yeah, tough matchups here. Seven Samurai. All right. Going down to Pale Rider and Blade Runner 2049. Dan.
Yeah. God almighty. I love Clint Eastwood. I love his lone gunman westerns. Oh my God. But I think it's one of the greatest looking films and story I've seen in recent memory, and so I got to go Blade Runner 2049. Going against the Western. Can you believe it, Austin?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go for the Western. I'll say Pale Rider. Jeremy?
Blade Runner 2049.
All right, Eric?
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Pale Rider.
Whoa.
Wow.
All right, on to Jonathan.
Actually, I'm not sorry because one of them is in my top 64, so it's Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Okay, no, fair enough. All right, Blade Runner 2049.
I think it's a modern classic, in my opinion.
All right. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance and Star Wars. Star Wars. Jeremy?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Eric?
Not again. Star Wars.
Jonathan?
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars.
Okay, Bill.
Dan?
Yeah. I got to go with Star Wars.
All right. Star Wars will clean sweep it into Friday. All right. Okay. Amadeus and Beauty and the Beast. Jeremy?
Amadeus.
Okay. Eric?
Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. Jonathan?
Amadeus.
Dan?
Yeah, I got to go with Amadeus.
Okay, I would have gone Beauty and the Beast, but maybe that'll give me some motivation to watch it for Friday. We're supposed to have basically a snow day on Friday here in
There you
Asheville,
go.
so that'll be a perfect time to just sit down and watch a movie. So and I'm off that day, so maybe I'll watch it. All right, Amadeus. Okay, going down to Spider-Man 2 and The Godfather. Eric.
Yeah, two very equal movies. Even though Spider-Man 2 was higher on my personal list, I go The Godfather.
Godfather. All right, Jonathan.
The Godfather.
The Godfather.
The Godfather. And yeah, sorry, Jordan. I'm gonna keep the hard on going for The Godfather. That's what he said in the comments. Yes, I do. So Jeremy.
Godfather.
All right, excellent. Okay. All right, The Godfather. Okay. All right, and down here we got Little Raging Bull and Scarface. So Pacino versus De Niro. Jonathan.
Do I go over myself or my best friend there, De Niro? Fuck.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. All right, Dan.
Raging Bull.
We don't see a lot on here, so I'll go Raging Bull. Jeremy?
Just so you know, I do love it, Dan. I wasn't bad talking. A Raging Bull.
Okay. And Eric?
Yeah, let's make it a sweep. Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. Okay. All right. So, Dan, I have one blind spot, so I'll try to watch it for Friday. All I have is Amadeus, so I will do my best.
Strong movies.
To watch it for Friday, and we'll see what happens here. All right. So, strong
Wonderful
movies. Yeah. So, we're all set for our Friday half bracket, but let's see what wins part 2 here tonight. We had Slumdog Millionaire win the other night, so we'll see what joins it for Dan's. So let's go Aliens versus Schindler's List. Dan?
Schindler's List.
Aliens. Jeremy?
Schindler's List.
Okay. Eric?
Aliens.
Oh,
Aliens. Jonathan?
Yeah, that's why I voted for that.
okay.
Right.
This bracket is life. Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Okay. All right. Moving on to the 8. All right. North by Northwest and Apocalypse Now. I'll go Apocalypse Now. Jeremy?
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. Eric?
Apocalypse Now.
Okay. Jonathan?
Yeah, I just love that smell of napalm here. Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, it's all over my shirt. Smells weird. Dan?
Apocalypse Now.
I think if you're smelling napalm in the morning, something's wrong. Get the fuck out of there. All right, here we go. Psycho and the Wolfman. Going to Jeremy.
Psycho.
All right, Eric.
Psycho.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I gotta go Psycho here.
Dan.
Yeah, I love the Wolfman so much, but I gotta go with Psycho.
Yeah, and I'll clean sweep it, but I'm glad the Wolfman made it to Friday. It deserves it. It's very good.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, but Psycho, moving on. We've got Jaws and Oppie. Eric.
Oh no. Let's
Two
give
of Jordan Anderson's favorite movies. This is Jordan Anderson's special rating.
Let's give it to Oppenheimer. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Jonathan?
Sure, why not? Oppenheimer.
Dan?
Jaws.
Jaws. Jerry?
Oh, it's so tough. I'm the tired of Jaws.
Okay.
It's cool.
There was
That's
no.
good.
I
by the way, Oppenheimer has won a tournament before. Won one of our 2023 tournaments, so it is a tournament fights winner. So yeah, it of course won one of those tournaments. Fargo and 12 Angry Men on the other side, and we'll start with Jonathan.
Fargo.
Okay, Dan.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah, I'll go 12 Angry Men. Jeremy.
12 Angry Men, you know.
All right. And Eric.
Yeah, 12 hombres enojados.
Nice.
Okay, so Fargo. All right, cool. All right.
12.
No, just kidding. My Spanish is a little rusty since high school. All right, let's see. Seven Samurai and Blade Runner 2049. Dan.
Seven Samurai.
I'll go Seven Samurai. Jeremy.
The visually stunning one, Seven Samurai.
Yeah, the one that looks really good in 4K. Yeah. Eric.
Bullet Runner. Haven't seen Seven Samurai yet.
Fair enough.
Gotta watch it during the show.
Yeah, we'll have an
Or
interesting
we're finishing.
black and white number matchup coming up. Seven Samurai.
Oh yeah. That's
All right, yeah. Okay. Going down to Star Wars and Amadeus. Me again. I'll try to watch it for Friday, but right now I'm going to go Star Wars. Jeremy.
I'm gonna be that guy, Amadeus.
Okay. Eric.
Star Wars.
Okay. Jonathan.
Sorry, Dan. Amadeus.
Star
Dan.
Wars. Star Wars.
Oh, not hard for Dan.
All right. Okay. Godfather and Raging Bull. So almost a De Niro matchup because he's going for the two, but not quite. Jeremy, what you got?
The Godfather.
Godfather. All right. Eric.
Yeah, The Godfather.
Jonathan.
Godfather.
Dan.
Yeah, Raging Bull moves on to Friday anyway. So for this, I'm going to go for The Godfather.
Yeah.
Two of my top 5 movies of all time, by the way.
All right. We are going to the final 4 here, and let's see what makes it. We've got Schindler's List and Apocalypse Now. All right. Eric.
Ooh. Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Okay. Jonathan.
Apocalypse Now.
Dan.
Apocalypse Now.
I'll go Apocalypse Now. Jeremy.
I would have also gone Apocalypse Now.
Okay, Apocalypse Now into the final 4. We got Psycho and Jaws. Jonathan.
Jaws.
Okay. Dan.
Jaws.
Jaws. Jeremy.
Jaws.
And Eric.
Jaws.
Jaws into the final 4. Okay, got some heavy hitters going in the final 4. Got 12 Angry Men and Seven Samurai on the other side. Dan.
I'm going to go 12 Angry Men.
I'm going to go 12 Angry Men. Jeremy.
12 Angry Men.
Angry Men. Eric.
Yeah, 12 is greater than 7. Can you count?
Jonathan.
City Lumet presents 12 Hombres Enojados.
Yeah.
All right.
You missed the presenta.
Star Wars and The Godfather, 2 very influential 70s movies here. Me. I won't mind either one, but you know what? The OG Star Wars doesn't get very far in a lot of these tournaments for whatever reason. So, you know what? I'll go Star Wars here. Jeremy.
The Godfather.
I won't mind either one, though. Eric.
El Padrino.
Yeah.
All right. Jonathan.
Yeah, I was gonna have to wait another day for The Godfather.
Okay. And Dan.
Yeah.
The Godfather.
Godfather. Okay, so we got some heavy hitters here. What a hell of a final 4 here, man. Yeah, all strong movies. But on the left, we'll start with Apocalypse Now and Jaws. So Jeremy.
Jaws.
Jaws. All right. Eric.
I kind of want the couple of face-off, so I'll go Apocalypse Now.
Ooh, damn.
Ooh, we could. Jonathan.
Oh, man. Notable prick. You tempt me, man. Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Dan.
Shit.
I'm going to go with Jaws.
Oh, sorry, Austin.
That's it.
Get. The one I have 1 T-shirt of, the one I have 2 T-shirts of. Jaws.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trade my T-shirt here. All right. All right. 12 Angry Men and The Godfather on the other side. Eric.
Well, now I don't want anything. 12 Angry Men.
Okay, Jonathan.
I'm gonna use the Austin card. I think I've seen The Godfather win, so I'm gonna go 12 Angry Men.
Okay, Dan.
Godfather.
Yeah, I have my reasoning, but I'm going to go 12 Angry Men here. Jeremy?
I would have easily gone The Godfather.
Okay,
Very
I have my
interesting.
reasoning. I'll get to it in a minute. But we're going to the finals here. We got Jaws and 12 Angry Men.
Very cool.
Jonathan. Yeah, great movies. Jonathan, kick us off.
I think it's its time. 12 Angry Men.
All right, Dan?
12 Angry Men.
Yeah, this might be the one where it finally makes it on the finish line. I'm going to go 12 Angry Men. Jeremy?
Sorry, Jaws.
Eric?
Douze Hommes en Colère.
Oh, nice.
Okay, it's also 12 Angry Men.
Okay, and it finally does it. 12 Angry Men will finally win a tournament here. It has never won. Yeah, we had a lot of previous winners here. The Godfather has won. The Jaws has won. Apocalypse Now has won. A bunch of these are winners. And I just was kind of feeling a one that doesn't quite make it to the finish line yet. 12 Angry Men's come close a couple of times and has never quite made it. So congrats to 12 Angry Men. Will win this one. Dan, where's that on your overall slot? Where's it at? Kind of
number 6 all time.
Whoa.
6 okay, so it's a top 10er. So there you go. Nice.
Godfather is number 2 all time.
Okay, so I mean, you can't be upset that you still got a top 10er winning tonight. It's pretty good, right? So
and both of my brackets, 2 films that have not won a tournament fights have won.
Well, there you go. So we got 2 unique winners. We had some Slumdog the other night. So there you go. 12
really? That won?
Yeah, Slumdog won part 1. Yes. So we had a nice underdog winner there. All right, so nicely done. As I'll struggle to try to balance the plugs and trying to pull something for 12 Angry Men really quick off the side. I will do my best. A little trickier when I'm hosting by myself. But yeah, we'll go around and we'll get some plugs. Congrats to 12 Angry Men. And all those movies you saw in those 2 Sweet 16s will be in on Friday. So we'll hit another half bracket on Friday for Dan and wrap it up and see what else wins one of those tournaments. So let's go around the horn and get a few plugs where we can find everybody, and we'll wrap it up so Dan can get some rest. Jeremy Adams, where can we find you? What you got going on?
I'm on Letterboxd, Adam ATOM 1979 at Letterboxd, and also you can find me in the different leagues around places doing shows and playing trivia.
All right, sounds good.
Where are you on pop culture trivia though, Jeremy? Why weren't you on that? That would have been awesome.
Sorry, I sometimes I miss the invitations and stuff. I try to catch everything, but
that Jeopardy is such a freaking blast, man. I feel bad that you weren't on that.
Yeah, I didn't even know where to sign up for that, but maybe I can try in the future.
All right. Eric, where can we find you?
Yeah, I was just before the show. I was at Malcolm's at Spear from the Past. We were talking Royal Rumble 2018. Great Rumble, great talk. It's fun. 2 matches happened in Lights Out while we were recording this, so check those out. I wrote some questions for those. That's what I was doing in between my turns. Like, gotta write those questions because we have 3 matches today and all that. Check out White Whale of Horror, the Pierce Co, CWT, and Multiplex. I won an award Multiplex, so that was interesting. Thanks for having me. I hope you get well soon, Dan.
All right, yeah, definitely. And Jonathan, what you got going on?
Yeah, great episode. You can find me on social media platforms on Twitter /X, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, Threads, Blue Sky, different variations of Cena Caro. Basically, I wrapped up my 2024 stuff. I just posted my best movies of the 2020s so far, the Midway Report. And in my opinion, I think it's a great slate of movies. It was kind of tough, finding the great ones, definitely for this first half of the year. But to hint, I would say it would have easily been like 15 of 2022, 2023 releases. But I wanted to be fair, give some love to a few years. But I just posted that. I also posted my best of 2024. I don't think Dan will agree on my number one, but and I also post my least favorites as well. Yeah, no, it's solid year of movies. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's always gems, even when it seems a little mixed. There's always gems in there and great stuff.
yeah,
that comes
there are
out.
a few gems, but and solid. Like let's just say we won't talk about it as like one of the great years of cinema. But that's that on that end. You'll find me here on Movie Hero Network next Friday, talking about Coppola Reitman movies.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
then,
we're doing a I'll talk about that in the plugs. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain more in a minute.
Yeah, I'll be on 2024 show here as well. I'll be on probably I think that will be it for now. And also on this weekend, I'll also be on Malcolm's show with Austin, discussing top 12 of 2024, or different lists of 2024, and that'll be interesting. So yeah, that'll be it. Thanks for inviting me, Dan, on this episode here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and also thoughts and prayers to all the people in California, and especially in LA, regarding the fires. Stay safe, keep sheltered. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Dan, what you got going on?
Yeah, I just want to champion Jonathan's Instagram. If you guys haven't followed him over there on Instagram, it's one of the best Instagrams you'll find out there. This guy works his backside off on that channel, and he deserves all the followers he can get. I always like to champion Jonathan's Instagram when I have a chance, because he's fantastic. I mean, he doesn't waste a moment of his time. He really gives a lot of his time to do that Instagram, and it's a lot of work. And I know it's not easy for what he does. So I want to champion his Instagram. Yeah, that being said, I'm a film critic in Orlando, Florida. I'm the owner, editor-in-chief, and head film critic of FromTheFourthRow.com. And it is a website, not a blog. So anybody thinks otherwise, you're wrong. I work hard on my website. Also, you can find me on my name, Dan Skipbound, or DP Skipbound, or From the Fourth Row on various streaming service. Social media like Letterboxd, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, X, and so forth and whatnot. I'll be having obviously my championship on Friday. I don't know how many other times I'm going to be on with these guys, the Movie Hero Network. I always pop up here and there for various things. Sometimes I get pulled out when I think I'm going to be in things, but I know how that goes. It's hit or miss with so many people that want to be on videos and stuff. So if you see me in the future, you see me. If you don't, you don't. Jeremy jumped off.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's fine. Also, I'm over there on the Dill Pickle Network sometimes. I Picture This with Chad and Dylan. They got a great show. If you haven't watched their show, it's one of the best shows on YouTube right now. They reevaluate the Academy Awards. Fantastic show. Also, I'm over off of Chasing Labels. It's a physical media channel with my buddies Steven and Andrew. They do a lot. But the big thing that you got to stay tuned for, there have been some changes to the awards schedule. They were going to be doing the Critics' Choice Awards this week, but they had to move it because of the fires in LA. Also, the Academy Awards nominations have been moved from the 17th to the 19th. Also, they made the SAG announcements a announcement on a
press statement.
Press statement instead of did the announcements live like they were supposed to today. So stay tuned for Real Consideration with myself and Luis Mendez. We're going to be up to date on all of this stuff. We're just moving some of our stuff back because the Academy Awards and SAG and Critics' Choice have all moved stuff back. So, but that's my podcast that I'm on with Luis. We do awards. We're both awards pundits.
Yeah, sounds good. And yeah, as far as the Movie Hero Network goes, we've got a lot of 2024 stuff coming up for the rest of the month. So after we wrap up Dan's on Friday, we'll be getting into a little bit of that. We got 3 different podcast league nows coming back 1 week after another. We'll be starting with a roundtable of the worst of 2024, which I'll be hosting because I love my bad movies, and we'll be talking about that. We'll kind of build up because then the week after we'll do sort of a outside the top 12 honorable mentions type roundtable discussion. Just some other movies we want to shout out that we throw some love to, and then it'll build up to our actual best of 2024 top 12 roundtable as well, and that'll be after we do our 3-part series of the movies of 2024. Just like our ladder series, we'll have a 3-part wrap up of that, and then like I said, Jonathan will be on the Reitmans versus the Coppolas. It's a family matchup. It'll be Francis Ford Coppola and Sofia Coppola versus Ivan and Jason Reitman. So all of those guys and gals movies all in one tournament. So kind of a father-son, father-daughter matchup. So that should be a little fun. So we'll see, obviously, the Godfather conversation, Pops Now, things like that again that on that show. And so yeah, stick it to it here on the Movie Hero Network. Hit that notification bell. Subscribe if you haven't. We greatly appreciate it. So that'll wrap it up for tonight until we reconvene on Friday. So for Jeremy Adams, for Erick Ibarra, for Jonathan Caro, for Mr. Dan Skip Allen, I have been your guest host tonight, Austin Pez. I'll wrap it up there, and we'll see you next time.
On the point of that knife, a man's life is at stake.
I'm just saying it's possible.
And I say it's not possible. I want you to watch this because I don't want to have to do it again. I'll make myself about 6 or 7 inches shorter, okay?
It's about right, maybe a little more.
Okay, a little more.
Look out. Here's what I think happened.
How can he be positive about anything?
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing.
You are going to try a man for murder. The awesome power to kill will suddenly be thrust into your hands.
Watch them and pray, for someday you may become one of them. 12 men with the smell of violent death in their nostrils.
What's the matter with you guys? You're letting them slip through our fingers.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
You cut it.
Ever since you walked into this room, you've been acting like a self-appointed public avenger.
Shut up. You're a sadist.
12 men turned into 12 clawing animals.
Come on.